Welcome back to another fun Friday night with hockey coach local Frenchy directly for the beautiful country of Thailand. And we have a special guest, the co-host of the weekly recap of Montreal Canadiens and the locker room reporter every Wednesday night. Mr. Arta is going to join me live directly from Toronto downtown. He's back in the house.
Good evening, Hockey Nation, and good evening, Coach. Did we get enough trades today? What do you think?
It was a good day overall. It was fun to watching all the trade NHL and a lot of things happening. We're going to talk about Montreal Canadiens, their trade deadline. It was his next for them, and then of course they play again the Toronto Maple Leafs tomorrow night. So it's a big game for the Montreal Canadiens, and then we're going to talk about what's going on with the Laval Rocket at that moment, and then the NHL draft. The winner and the loser, the center tap of this special day, and it was the conclude with the end of the trade deadline. So that's what we got tonight on the Montreal NHL trade deadline. Let's review. And then the app quiet again for the second time. Center tab, they are quiet back to back year. And then if you follow my other one, it's not me, it's another one, but the true cost, Mr. Tap, of a Thai girlfriend, if you have one in Thailand. And then you follow my other channel, it's called the quiz option. Choose your gift. It's a fun game for the family. You pick number 1, 2, or 3. If you're lucky, you get the good one. If you're not lucky, you get the bad one. And that's pretty much what's happening on that. Yeah, you pick what you think is this. It's all about lucky or not, Mr. Tap. But let's see what's going on here. First of all, Mr. Tap, we're going to welcome everybody. And think we would like again. He is considered to be a member of the Hockey Nation. Thanks so much, Mr. Andy. But Zeph, they was not quiet. They did their shop early with Monan and today with Alan. You at some point you're right, Zep, but it's not what we expect more. I think a two trade compared to the Vegas Golden Knights, the Colorado Avalanche, and many other teams. I consider this like more like a quiet, in my opinion, for the Montreal Canadiens. Mr. Bobs is in the house tonight. Welcome back, Bobs. Thanks to be with us. All you doing well in Ontario. Glad having you aboard. Our friend Adam is in the house tonight. Welcome back, Adam, from of course, the Vegas Golden Knights, the big splash they did at the end with Thomas Hurdle. We're going to talk about this next couple of minutes. Adam is excited about this. What about Rick Bengold from the Lake House in Nova Scotia with the beautiful Dementra? They are back in the house. Hopefully, you're doing well. Thanks for all the light we got so far. We appreciate a lot. And then we have Mr. Luciano Graziano from Toronto downtown, moderator of the Hockey National Show. Welcome back, Luciano. He's waiting for the game for Toronto Maple Leafs. A little bit concerned about the Toronto, what they did last couple of days at the trade deadline. And we'll see what will be the next for them. Look, go Habs, go, Mr. Notop is in the house tonight. Welcome back. Look, now we call usually a triple, but now we have a 4. He did not show the F, but Mr. F is in the house tonight. He expects trade goalie in Harris to Canada for Chebnikov. For him, it would be the one he would expect to make a trade for the Canada Hurricane. Claude Richard de la capitale du Canada est de retour avec nous dans la région de Ontario, dans la région de Ottawa. Merci. Syndicat knocked the door tonight, following by the King of the Gamer. Welcome back, Mr. Kane. Thanks for being with us. Look, very happy about the keep David Savard to help the young team over that. Laval winning 4-1. Rick Bankol, who scored a goal for them. And then King go with a bet of the night for King was on tap. Colorado over 6.5 goal combined with the Dallas over 6.5 with combined. So a double combined with both of them at 6.5. About that. Because there's still in the NHL from Adam talking about Tim Hurdle. Thomas Hurdle. Look at me, another goal. It was really quiet, Mr. Tap. I think he's been to 2 weeks with no point with the Laval Rocket.
Yeah, plus, didn't he get ejected from a game as well?
Possible about that, but very quiet, Logan Mayfield for the last couple of games. Jean Gregor from Boston, Massachusetts, with the Boston Bruins back in the house. From Ontario with the Polaris, Mr. William Larry, he is back in the house. Laval going to win tonight. Our friend A2 is with us tonight. Habs won the trade deadline. Mr. A2 mentioned about this. The Habs did well in moving Jake Allen. This is what Senska said about this. Mr. Andy celebrate his 17th month of membership. Thanks so much, Mr. AK, to support the channel. And happy trade deadline day for what he said. Run with Kings from Mother from Utah coming back with us tonight, talking about the Kings. Very quiet for him. For them, L. Ensign knocked the door tonight. Mr. L. Ensign, welcome back. Thanks to be with our Canadian show. I'll try to fly everybody in the chat. I like Toronto getting Edmondson from the Washington Capitals. And then the Toronto lead 1-0 again, the Montreal, the Montreal on the PWHL. And the Laval winning 4-1 against the Lumberjacks. What a crazy name, the Lumberjack, Cleveland Lumberjack. Remember that team? Anyhow, another subject another time. If you lack a grits and sandpaper and you top six forward, you end up like Toronto losing right away. And the playoff for Montreal is copy passing Toronto top six forward for the FFF. Talking about FFF, we have to go with the Fixer. He's back with Fix Everything, Mr. Fixer. Welcome back. Thanks to be with our Canadian Live show. Siska, as a Canucks fan, I'm happy they did not go all the way all in this year. However, they did overpay for Lindholm and failed to address their need for size, grits, and scoring on the wings for Saint-Sika about the Vancouver Canucks with Elias Lindholm. Listen, putting PLL out there at the Boston for Ulmark or Swimmen. Did not turn around to be good for them. Toronto lead now 2-0 against Montreal. Team at the BWHL. Gary Cournoyer, the driver, is back in the house from the UPS. He was expect that. Oettinger has struggled. I see at least 7 goals there. More nervous about the Avalanche game for King of Gamer. And then I might be too old to wait for the Ab rebuild to start A2. We are done all the same boat. A2, don't worry about that. They'll be fine. Good start. Colorado lead 1-0. Mission on tap already. Score a goal. Cleveland Barons, Kansas City Scout, Rick Bengal. Long time ago, 1976. And they go well away like that. They really shake your hands. And that's what we got, Mr. Tap, so far. And Friday night, ladies and gentlemen, you have no template. You have no plan. It's open up the door and you bring your question and we answer to your question. And through that, we flow all the way talking about what we need to talk about. And that's all, nothing else, guys. It's very simple Friday night. And at the end of the show, we're going to do the prediction, Mr. Tap. You almost went to the bus.
No.
Someone pick up another one over there. And someone returned in the jail. He's been there a couple of times now. He returned there alone on this week, unfortunately. But it is what it is for that person. But then I lost a couple of games last week, so people getting closer to me. But it is okay. It's not a big deal. Abination is back in the house, Mr. Tap. William compare Mr. Tap one comment calm down this year on the movement of the first round draft choice compared to other years. I think they learned, Mr. Tap, what happening in the past, honestly, with the first round pick. That can you take the lead, Mr. Tap? 1-0. Detroit lost their last 3 games, but we sent Larkin is out, Mr. Tap. They struggled a bit. McBain. Jack McBain scored 7 goals of the year. McBain was a player from the NCAA, and he was traded to Minnesota to the Arizona Coyotes. And then Arturi Lekonen, Mr. Tap, scored his 11th goal of the year. Assisted by who? Yes, Nathan McKinnon. 70 assists, McKinnon, Mr. Tap. I did not
Good player.
I took Leon Tresolo.
I took McKinnon.
McDavid 1. And I took Tresolo number 2.
Yeah, that's not bad. It's still a good combination.
I think McKinnon, overall have a better year on number of the point.
So far.
Yeah, I agree with you about that. Anyhow, that's what we are right now at the beginning. We'll see something in there.
Actually, it's gonna be quite a race between McDavid, McKinnon, and Kucherov
Kucherov.
to see who wins that scoring
I think he's what,
this
10,
year.
112 point behind McKinnon.
I think McKinnon right now is in first at 110, and then Kucherov might be at 106, and I think McDavid is at 100, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So it'll
We'll
be
see what
really
happened about
close.
this for sure, Mr. Tap. I love one and after Marco answer question was okay, more one specific subject. Leave last night was great to see McCabe gave it to Marchand. FFFF trade now Cole Caulfield plus Harris for a top six sandpaper for what Shevnikov. My question to you is not about Montreal, it's about the Carolina
Carolina.
Hurricane. They're going to request more at Harris. So I will say to you, no problem. I'm going to give you Shevnikov, but I want to have Cooley and Cole Caulfield.
No, thank you.
There we go. So that's the point behind that. You have to increasing your defenseman if you want to give Shevnikov. You have to get a young defenseman like Mayu or a Rebacker, something like that. If you want to get Shevnikov, so that one over there. Alexandre Meilleur, de retour avec nous ce soir. Thanks so much. Much better now. Canado, much better. Alexandre, thanks so much to be with us. Don't forget, get to click on the likes. I was going to take Detroit because Arizona is a back-to-back last Jason Zucker, but I feel like it's wrapped, so I will, just in case. King, Zucker did not play yesterday anyway, it's not a big deal. At the end of the night, a power play avalanche. Drouin create the turnover on the leaky goal. Here we go. Did not get a point, but great to see that. Talking about Colorado, Mr. Tap, the champion of the WWE Rookie of the Year in 2012. Willie Snyder, Mr. Tap, is back with us tonight. Welcome back.
Sneaky
Where to
Snyder.
leave today if they are happy with that roster heading to the playoff. I'm gonna be another quick trip to the golf course for A2 about that. Chicago need to do something next year, but all getting smashed around, not good about that. Now, goalie plus a first one pick for Chebnikov. Oh, now you're talking about FFF. I would say yes right away, and I'm going to get your first one pick 2024. Not a Winnipeg. Your first one out from Montreal to Chebnikov. So there we go. You get the right one. I'm getting two of them for that.
Coach drives a hard bargain, eh?
I know,
He
right?
really. That's why even in fantasy, I can't make any trades with you. You drive a hard bargain.
I have to. I have to get hard on Mr. Tap. Eric Dussam, Mr. Tap, knock the door. Welcome back, Eric. Thanks to be with us
Welcome.
tonight. And Patrick Leblanc for you, Mr. Tap. Bet on the Colorado and the Wings to win for 2.35. Not looking good for Detroit tonight. And our JK boss, Mr. Franco Iacono, after he take a week of vacation, maybe he's on spring break in Miami. Who knows, Mr. Tap? But Franco is back with us for that one. Question: any Tampa Bay Lightning movement today? If not, what does that tell us? They make a
Yeah,
trade.
there was. They did. It was a
Anthony.
defenseman. They picked. That's right, and they picked up Matt Dumba as well.
Yeah. So Anthony Sclair was the really one, so you need to move a bit. And Matt Tamba also, William, you're absolutely right about this. A2 Jet Vegas was the winner at Service Talent about this. Ron with Kings, cross question of the night. Well, maybe not, but on the why does not the NHL just make all the trade end at the deadline? Why would team want to keep trading after one their player won't be playoff eligible?
Why would teams want to keep trading after? I'm not sure.
So what you try to tell us, like
I'm
after
understanding
the
that.
trade deadline, you can make another trade, but that player cannot be on the playoff
Oh,
eligible.
eligible. Yeah, they're not eligible for the playoffs, right? Yeah, yeah. And I think it's only within. Is it only within 10 days they can do that?
I'm sorry again.
Is it only within 10 days that past the trade deadline that they can do that, or is it right to the end of the year if they had to?
No, the final roster is first of all the final roster is at the trade deadline at the end of the trade deadline for the playoff. right? If they make a trade after that, they can't do it, but the player is eligible. And then you can call
Right.
up 4 players, Mr. Top, for the American Hockey
Four,
League
yeah, four
after the trade
contracts. Yeah,
deadline until the end of the season. So you cannot call like 5, 6, 7, 8 players. At least it's a emergency call up, like you don't have
right.
any goaltender or something like that, whatever. So they count about that for Mr. Tap. So I give you an
Makes
idea here.
sense.
They went with the Flame going 10-4-0 in the last 14 games. Do you think they will make the playoff, Mr. Tap?
No, to me that West Conference looks pretty much sewn up right now with the 8 teams that are in the spots that they are. Like it would take a quite a miracle for either Minnesota or Calgary to get in there, and quite a fall from either somebody like Vegas, who improved themselves tremendously today, or LA in that case, in that matter. But I don't see it happening at all.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Look for Sin, Mr. Tap, back in the house tonight. Welcome back. Look, Eric
Mon
said
ami.
Tampa is a big problem right now at that moment. The Rock, Mr. Tap, is on Fox, and Marco is on CNN. And yeah, on another subject at the time. Why on the hot would Carolina make that deal make no sense for them to lose one of their scoring winger for an unproven goalie? Make no sense. Bob's talk about the trade between its fun players. Make no sense for the team. They lose one of the scoring winger for an unproven goalie. For that one, the biggest goal for making the playoff. Try to pick up everything. Roy Mr. Tap back in the house tonight.
Welcome, Roy.
Eric said Eric Kane make a great deal. Randy Walkman back in the house. Mr. Walkman is back. Randy is busy all week with all the trade. I know he have to check the roster again, Mr. Tapster. What's the name? Where's coming from? Oh, he played with us tonight, Mr. Tap. That's what happening with
Well,
the Flame.
we're lucky. Usually he comes on and says Calgary sucks.
Now
So
he
he's
explained a bit
improved
more.
now.
And Max Ron don't go nowhere, Randy. It looked like he's still around. Steve G, welcome back from Colorado. He feel better about his team, I'm pretty sure. Coach, yes, was on the beach collecting sand, 1 grain at the time, like Mike Penny, Montreal St. Parade wrote, and the 1 gallon at the time. Franco. I love that
Oh,
one. I
Frank,
love it. I love
he's
it.
dedicated. Keep painting.
Ammunition.
Keep painting.
I know. Earl won't replace Stone, maybe not even play until the playoff. Vegas maybe not make it. There was maybe play for the Vegas good
Yeah.
night. We're going to see about that. King, which player in the first round on the draft are both you off your eye? One from them for the top 10 and maybe one from the 20 to 32 overall in the sense.
Well, for this summer, I mean, just looking at where Montreal might, I'm assuming he's talking about Montreal, and where they might finish. I mean, if we could get Lindstrom, I think that would be a great addition. It's exactly what we would need on the team: a good, solid, big player that can score and skates well, and can make an impact right away. That's what I would like to see. The interesting part will be because of the number of good defensemen that are available this year, and depending on which teams fall below Montreal, they might be selecting those defensemen early. And if not, if they're going to take the top 3 or 4 forwards that are available, then Montreal is going to find themselves in a pretty difficult situation in terms of. I mean, it's a good problem, but it's something to think about. They're going to either have to take the best player, which I think is always the best policy to go by, and that would be to take at that point it would be another defenseman, hopefully a right-handed defenseman, and then they could always package things at a later date and address their holes differently. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. A lot still has to be said, and of course, at the end of the day, you're throwing those top 10 teams in a hat, if you want to say that, and entering the lottery. So the final positioning could be different than what we get at the end of the year.
Yeah, great point about that. You have so many things we can talk about this, right? Langstrom at the beginning, right? I think the player was really pay attention more. Captain will be the number two over there. Of course, the defenseman Dickinson. We can talk about this on the last second pick for the Winnipeg Jet. What depend how they are. Mostly from Chicoutimi, I would love to see it. Trevor Connelly, another great players. Um, from the UCHL and the kid from the OHL. I think you have the triple I was looking for. You have defensemen pretty good at that rank of 25 to 32. But I think Montreal should take it, taking forward at that area of that.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure some player like a little bit lower at 20, 24 can be at that 26, 27. Will be interesting where is going to be Cole Hudson, by the way, Mr. That, but I just, bring that over there. I think Marcos is coming, so we'll see Marcos coming very soon.
Oh, awesome.
For that one, I have no idea. Look how they are doing with also. I have no idea. They have a couple of people. The Coyotes take the lead 2-0 again. The Red Wing Alex for Kerfoot scored a goal. I want the Flame to lose every game for the year for Randy. How about that? I think I want to go third round with Edmonton in the
That's the
first
Randy I
place.
know.
For that one over there. Try to pick up everything else. Let's not tap. It look like we are good to go on the what we want to talk about this tonight. At least we don't have any question there, Mr. Tap. So, it was a
So
busy
where
day
to start?
for overall, Mr. Tap. And the month, there we go. Marco is coming, Mr. Tap. So let's see, go in. Marco is going to be between us. Let's see, open the door. It come at the right time. Here we go. Marco is in the house.
Hey,
Hey, Marco.
Uh,
sorry to jump in late.
No, it's okay. We're
Here
just
we go.
having some fun Friday here.
Fun
Fun
Friday.
Friday.
Yeah. Royce said not to trade the pick for a Russell player instead of rolling the dice on a proven player, but you have to find the right team to do that. Roy, they did it last year. So it'll be interesting how you're going to get the pick of the Jet. Could be a little bit earlier in the NHL draft, but there is a suggestion they could do at some point. Let's dive in right away, guys, about the pick. What happening? LDP is in the house tonight. LDP, welcome back. For that part. Then Ron and Bob's is in the house. There you go. No Montreal Canadiens make only a big trade, honestly, one plus, Jake Allen. And we know they trade Jan Mizak a couple of days ago, maybe yesterday. And they have Sean Mayan a couple of weeks ago. That's pretty much the overall of
Great.
the Montreal Canadiens on that one. But Jake Allen, guys, was sent to New Jersey for a third round pick, Coach Chanel. And Marco, you're going to pop up. Hold on. I'm going to get you there. There we go. And then Jake Allen this year and 6, 12, and 3. 3.65 as a percentage 892. They are the stat of Jake Allen. So I would ask you, both of you, what do you think about that trade? What gave to Montreal? What do are you happy with the trade? And go from there. And the people in the chat can comment about this too. So that'd be awesome. And let's go with Mr. Enartap. Then we're going to go with Marco. Larry Lavalley, the guys can just knock the door.
Welcome, Larry. Well, Coach and Marco, we both know that traditionally goalies do not get you a lot in terms of trade value. So the fact that we did get a conditional third, which is based on the condition is based on the number of games that Allen plays next year with New Jersey. I think the number is 40, if I recall correctly.
The other condition that
You
they
know,
have to make the
yeah,
playoffs too.
yeah, that would give you a second round pick, and if it materializes to that, and today they also traded their goalie as well,
Vanchek.
Vanchek. That's it. Thank you. And so that might create a situation where you could see easily 40 games out of Allen. So for Montreal, I think that was a good move. I would maybe grade it a B for Montreal in terms of their acquisition for Allen. It's something that had to be resolved. I kind of felt that if there was something to happen, it was going to happen and happen late, and it kind of did, as we saw today. But you know, I mean, we'll talk about Savard a little bit later, but for this, I think they did the right thing. And now it strictly puts the gears in both Monty and Primo's hands going forward.
Yeah. So listen, from Montreal's perspective, it's a huge win, right? Just because you're resolving the situation that's been, kind of obviously on everybody's mind over since the beginning of the season. Hughes again kind of explained the reasoning behind that in his press conference today. The reason that they had to do this is, it was all based on the fact that they weren't sure that they were going to sign Montembeault, right? So you couldn't potentially lose Primo on waivers, not have Montembeault signed, and then all of a sudden you're just left with Jake Allen, and your two young goaltenders are gone, right? So what I found interesting is Jake Allen. I took the day off work today, guys. I'm flipping through all the different channels, watching all the coverage in both French and English. Jake Allen, he did interviews with RDS, TVA, Sportsnet, and TSN all in a row, and he did a great job, in the interviews that he gave, and he was pretty honest. That everything that we kind of suspected. Yeah, I think everything we suspected about how he felt about this year is true. He definitely was appreciative of how professional Primo and Montembeault were based on the situation that they were in, but it wasn't easy, right? It's really hard. He was finding it very difficult to get into a groove. So, I think from a Montreal perspective, it's a win. Yes, they had to use their last retention spot to get it done. I think that's really the only way that they could make it work. I think the return is just fine based on that. Like you said, Tap, the goal, you don't get a lot of return for goalies like this. So I think, all circumstances taken into consideration, I think Kent Hughes did really well. What I don't understand though is from the New Jersey side. I don't understand. I think all of us were very skeptical that any team was going to trade for Allen at this point. I'm happy that it got done, but I'm still very perplexed as to what would have possessed New Jersey to do this. It seems like a little bit unclear what their direction is. On one hand, you're trading assets, you're trading Toffoli, you're trading away. Who is the defenseman they traded? Moore to Edmonton. Yeah. I forget who they traded him to, but so you're trading away assets, but then you're I think the goaltending situation was so bad. It was having such a negative impact on their young guys. They felt they needed to just bring somebody in for the end of the season just so that they didn't inflict more damage on their goaltenders, their young goaltenders' confidence and everything. It's just weird. It's just a weird solution, especially considering the fact that it was made very public that New Jersey is going to pursue Markstrom, especially this summer. The Markstrom deal, from all accounts that we're hearing, was going to happen, but then the Calgary management team decided to not approve it because they felt it would be unfair to fans because Calgary is still in the playoff race. So Markstrom had already approved a trade to New Jersey. There was a trade in place, and then Calgary management decided not to pull the trigger on it. So strange situation. I don't understand what New Jersey's doing here. So we'll see how that plays out for them. But I think all Habs fans, regardless of whether you were critical of how Allen performed at certain times when he was in Montreal, I think everybody can agree with how professional Jake Allen has been, how great he was in the community, how great he was in the room nurturing young players. So we wish Jake Allen, all the best in his new opportunity here with New Jersey. And then another weird thing is right after acquiring Allen, they went and got Kakinen from San Jose as well, right? So who is, his underlying numbers were very good this year in San Jose. They dropped off over the last maybe month. So, I wonder if Jake Allen will find himself in a situation where he thinks he was going in there to to play some games, and all of a sudden they're going to play Kakinen, and he's going to be backing up over there too. So we'll see. We hope the best for Jake Allen, but overall, coach and
Yeah,
Tap, like I think they did a good job. Like they solved the problem, and now we get to see Montembeault and Primo play a lot more games down the stretch here.
yeah. Just a couple of things to add, Marco, with regards to that. I think with Vanacek being injured and still New Jersey being in the race technically, they felt that by bringing, I mean, make no mistake about it, their plan A was Markstrom. And as you said, when that didn't materialize, it was plan B. And I think, I guess that was Allen. They really didn't want to put that pressure both on Schmidt and Nico Dawes because they haven't quite performed to the level that they thought they might. And part of that has to do with their youth and the fact that they're still developing. So they wanted to sort of insulate them, and I think that's sort of what may have facilitated going after Allen at that point. And but I agree with you. The other goalie pickup is a little bit strange.
Yeah, and then
coach.
One other thing though that I noticed listening to the interviews with Allen, it really gives you a bit of an inside view as to how collaborative Kent Hughes is with his veteran players when he's trying to trade them. Hearing Allen describe things, he's like, yeah, it's been a really crazy 24 hours. We knew that some teams had been kicking tires for a couple of weeks now, but then we knew that New Jersey was starting to get more serious yesterday. So it's like Ken Hughes, as he's talking to other teams, is actually openly sharing the progress of negotiations and the status with his player, right? And coach and Intertap, we've talked about this before. It's all about how collaborative and how transparent he is with those players, building the reputation of Montreal being a really great place to play because the organization treats you fairly and things like that, right? So I've just never seen that before, right? Like unless it was a player that had 100% complete control, kind of like what you saw with Tarasenko or something like that, where they're basically choosing their destination. In this case, like Jake Allen had a limited and no trade, but I guess he New Jersey was on his no trade list, right? So he had to waive it. But it's just interesting how transparent Hughes was with Allen. So it's just an interesting kind of like inside
culture,
view.
Right?
Yeah, it's an interesting inside kind of a baseball view of kind of like how Kent Hughes operates. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. Coach, were you happy with the return?
I'm just flipping left and right. I listen to you guys. Great comments. I don't know what I have to add more what you just said. Look, at the end of the day, this is the culture of the Montreal Canadiens. It's all about the professionalism, integrity, loyalty, and this is what he can use as an agent for over 20 years with a great reputation from the customer. Patrice Bergeron and Mike Madison, I can go all the way they can use what and it reflects exactly what happening with the Montreal Canadiens. That's exactly what you see about that. He talked with the players, mentioned what's going on, everything like that. You know what? He gave him a favor to go to New Jersey also. He didn't send them with a bad team, or he gave him a great option to have a better career for him for at the end of the day. So I like the fact the way he talked on good way for the players. And that's what Ken Hughes does for the Montreal Canadiens since he got hired. This is for me, I'm excited for the future because Ken Hughes, everything he does is calculate, it's study, and he does not panic and he wait. He play a game of patience on every aspect of the hockey operation. It could be a trade, it could be signature, contract, negotiation. Uh, so for me, this is a good deal for the Montreal Canadiens overall. Third round pick, that's what I always said. This guy is the market of the goaltender is always at that area. Now he can become a second round pick if you have a coach on that one. But and that's finally the three ménage à trois goaltender for Montreal Canadiens. Now you're going to get Montembeault Primo. I don't like it, but for the end of the season, it's okay right now. Because I don't feel Primo is going to be the one who's going to carry on the team next year. Montreal maybe to look for something else. I don't like the fact he retained 50% of the contract of Jake Allen, but this is the only way he can do that
Yeah.
at the end of the day. That's pretty
Yeah.
much
Not
what I
like
have to talk about this.
he was pretty clear, coach, that there wasn't really that much of a market for him. You know, like it's not like you know, some people thought that maybe Kent Hughes was, you know, waiting to increase the value and waiting to get more, but it wasn't like that, right? Like he didn't really have any offers on the table really just until recently here. So it's not like he was, you know, playing chicken, waiting to, you know, waiting to see if he could get more and more and more, right? So he was, because he said it himself, right? He's like, as soon as Montembeault signed his contract, the pressure was now on me, Kent Hughes, to go and make this move, right? So,
Yeah.
but you know, you need a partner to dance, and they're just, you know, teams were just kind of like really indecisive, and in some cases, like New Jersey in particular, it might cost them their season, right? With how long they waited to act when it came to fix
I
their
think
goaltender.
Marco is more a matter of teams sort of wanting to give up a little bit less. Because if you take Allen and what he said today at the conference, he did say that there were three teams that he had the option to go to or to at least waive
Yeah,
the
that only,
clause in as well. But I'm
but
sure
that only,
that they weren't offering as much,
yeah,
right? That's the
yeah.
key.
Those teams or those options only really became available in the last 24 hours, right? So it's
Yeah,
not like
yeah.
there was those offers weren't on the table until just recently. So,
No, because
you know, and
he wouldn't have been plan A for any team. Like there were guys like Gibson and Markstrom. I think that would have been everybody's first choice to go with, and then they sort of circle around back to Jake Allen later, and I think that's what happened here as well.
yeah. And then the other move, coach, like I know not a lot of people are talking about it too much. The Mishak for Perot move, you know, people seem pretty excited about it. You know, I think if anybody's watched me on the show in the past, like they know that I had a, you know, I don't think he was going to be like, you know, a top 6 player for Montreal, but I always had a pretty good, you know, view on Jan Mishak. I thought somebody that for whatever reason Montreal didn't really see somebody as part of their plan. To me, I felt that he was a perfect guy to eventually play fourth line for the Montreal Canadiens. Just really intense. He's a gamer, you know, somebody who, you know, was a captain for Czechia, you know, and just had really good success at the OHL level too in the playoffs. Like just a gamer, you know, somebody that could win faceoffs. Not the biggest guy, but really intense. So, you know, we know
But
what
Marco, he
type of
never
player.
make the
You know
top
what the
six in Laval.
Yeah, but they never. If you watch
No, no,
Laval,
no, no,
coach,
no, no. Marco, if he coach, if the guy gave me something, I would put him on my top line. If he gave me 20 goals, he
not
score and
saying
involved, he bring. He did not go that way. He's not going to set Montreal. We don't use him because he was not drafted by us. He have all the opportunity. He's not going to relate. He have a difficult time to adapt at the speed of the American Hockey League and NHL. I don't see him. It's going to
not
be another Jacob de la maybe Jacob de la Rose, but another cold bird from the New York Rangers. They trade him. That will be Jan Mizek.
I don't think so, coach. Like not to my eye test, anyways. Like I don't think he ever really struggled with the speed of the game. I think, you know, similar him and Perot both started in the AHL at a pretty young age. I think in the viewings that I've seen Mishak play, like I've never seen him play above the fourth line ever. You know, it's like they never even gave him opportunities. Like Montreal, for whatever reason, decided to call up people like Condada instead of him for whatever reason, even though I think that, like I said, like in defensive missions and stuff like that, like I found him to be very responsible, very engaged. Again, is it going to change
at
the
the end?
trajectory of
No,
the franchise here? No, but I just, I can, knowing Pat Verbeek, I can see why he would look at somebody like Pat at Mishak and want
He had
him in
no
the Anaheim.
offensive in his game, Marco.
I don't agree with that.
He has 60
He's not.
points in the OHL.
Yeah.
I think
So
I think
Guédon a more points.
I think he's going to be a fourth line player in the NHL. I think so.
I don't see.
you know what the best
How-
the best thing I heard Coach, was the quote from a particular reporter from Montreal. I can't remember if it was Engels or someone else. They said this trade was basically measuring it. You're measuring two different things. You're measuring what Missak's current floor is, which is pretty good. I would agree with some of the things Marco said there, versus the ceiling that Perot can reach. And
Yep.
they're gambling on the fact that he'll reach that, and that's why I think it precipitated the trade. Now, having said that, I mean, I did read a lot of reports on Perot, and a lot of things were complimentary. But one thing that they all circled back to was the fact that he tends to get lazy from time to time and doesn't work
And
as hard as
his skating is not very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like his dad.
No, I don't disagree. Like, I think Perot's ceiling is higher, but I think Mishak is a higher probability to play more games in the NHL. I really do. But like in terms of the floor, in terms of their floor, I think Mishak, his strong suits, which is like his work ethic and being a gamer and doing all the details right, coaches are going to love a player like that, and it'll be easier for him to get minutes in the NHL if a team needs that depth, like a fourth line center or something like that. So, but we'll see. It's not going to transform the direction of where the Montreal Canadiens go or anything, but I just interesting because again, I've always had a bit of a man crush, I guess, on Mishak. I like the way he plays, just how intense he is, and I like guys that work hard, right? And he definitely works hard. Does lack a little bit of finish, but so good luck to Jan Mishak. I think I wouldn't be surprised you see him on Anaheim's fourth line in the next couple of years.
All right, a lot of people in the chat. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for being with us. We appreciate it. Yamo Vertanen knocked the door. Welcome back, Yamo. Thanks with us. 1-0. Joe, welcome in the house. And a couple of people comments about this. I think Luc Lafortune will resume exactly 2 players under achiever so far in the career. They play under the expectation. One was a 27 overall pick, and the other one was 42, I believe. Overall pick for Mezak. So that's happening. We have a question from Gary about that, about this. But Gary asked about will be a test for Montembeault if he can handle the workload or not.
Well, he's going to get that opportunity now. Yeah, absolutely. And so will Primo. I think he'll get a greater fair share of games now, and so this will give you a quick idea of where they stand.
Yeah, like it's kind of like not having that safety net there anymore, right, Coach? Like if you're Montembeault, you always had that kind of that knowledge that you had that safety net there with Allen. So I sorry I interrupted. You were about to say something. Go ahead.
Yeah. I just want to correct A2. He said Perot is under the first one pick. Her coach loved those guys. What I said to you guys is you debate me, said it's not important to pick at the late first round pick. So I respond to you. Jake Ondinger, Kempe, Tage Thompson, and I can go all the way like that. But you guys, you tell me all night, all the time, those first pick, it's not important. We just put this in the trash can. It's necessary. You can trade for another players, and that's all. I'm telling you right now, if you have a right scout team, you get that team, it will make you a better team. Those kind of players are going to support and bring some depth inside of your team at the bottom 6 you pick. It's not a 4-1 pick, a 5th-round pick, a 6th-round pick, and a 7th-round pick is going to help in your team. This is the late first-round pick. If not, why the dream trade for those picks? And so that question for me, why the trade they got this first one pick late, the Montreal Canadiens for Sean Monahan. If it was not important, they should said, give me a plus in return, DeMelo, and that's all.
But coach, it really depends where you are in your process. Ask Vegas about how they feel about late first round picks. They've traded probably 99% of the picks, first round picks
They do
that
pick.
they've had.
They do picks, Mark.
Yeah, exactly. Like they've traded probably 99% of the picks that they've had since they've been in existence.
And with
And
that trade, also,
guess,
they just finished with Marchessault. They have no spot for Marchessault next year.
well, that's what Vegas does, coach. They deal with the situation that's right in front of them, and they'll deal with the future when the future comes. They've proven, like, Kelly McCrimmon is very unique. I hope, I don't know if we have time to talk about that tonight, but to me, that's the biggest takeaway of the trade deadline for this year. Last year, remember when Vegas won the cup? What was some of the things that we talked about on this channel? Is we were saying, you know what, Vegas just has proven that there's not just one way to build a Stanley Cup champion, right? Everybody always talks about, well, you gotta crash down, you gotta kind of like strip everything down, do a full rebuild. You have to have pain for 5-6 years and build it slow and develop. No, totally different philosophy. They are very aggressive. Remember Marc Bergevin used to say, well, I wish it was like PlayStation trades. Well, that's what Vegas does, guys. They do straight up PlayStation trades.
But
they're very aggressive.
They're lucky they have good management, though, with a good set of brains, because they know what to do. And McPhee is really quite knowledgeable in terms of scouting out talent and making it fit into the cap, right?
Yeah. Well, this is what I find interesting, guys. Is what Vegas? The NHL is a copycat league, right? So, are there going to be other teams that start to be that aggressive? Like, is that something Montreal should consider? Like we've been talking about here, at some point here, Montreal has all these assets, right? So depending on who you talk to, coach, takes the, a little bit more of a conservative route where they should really kind of sit back, wait another year. I think they should be a little bit more aggressive and start using some of these assets to get rid of bad contracts and go get something, go backfill that. But I'm curious, guys, like, what do you guys think about kind of how Vegas operates here? Do you think other NHL teams are going to be inspired by how Vegas does things here and kind of like tries to reinvent how you build your roster?
That.
You know what, Marco? I mean, at the risk of opening up a can of worms here,
No,
I'm not in favor. I think it's all credit to Vegas in terms of being able to use the rules to their favor, but I don't think that this whole issue around the LTIR and getting money. I think this year they had around, if I'm not mistaken, around $16 million between Stone's and Leonard's injuries that they were able to go out and do what they did. Again, it's not their fault. They're just playing within the rules that are allocated. But I do think it's the NHL. The onus is on the NHL to sort of investigate this a little bit more further in depth and revisit the whole issue around that. Because if we all start to now, as you said, copycat this formula, it could lead to some.
Like,
it's not. It's not. But let's face it, that's a big one that initially was taken advantage of by Tampa Bay when they were in the finals with Montreal.
Yeah. And Chicago was the first team to do it, and Patrick Kane got injured. I think they're the first team to do that, right?
You're right.
That's not what I'm referring to. Like, it's part of the strategy is to, if you have the opportunity, you have big salaried players that go on LITR, and you can, that is part of it. But overall, the strategy that Vegas is using, the way that I would characterize it is, they see a player that they want. They're not afraid to make moves, right? So they're not afraid to change it up. Like, Now, we talked about this in some cases. Some people were concerned that this might make them the most hated team in hockey, right? Some some very beloved players like Marc-Andre Fleury, other players that signed in Vegas and then got traded the next year after thinking they were going to be there for 4 or 5 years. But you're going to break some eggs if you want to make an omelet. But to me, it's the commitment. We talk about how you want a management team that's focused on winning. I would say Julien Brisebois is like that a little bit in Tampa too. Armstrong in St. Louis, right? These are management teams that are not afraid to make the right move for their organization, to trade a player when they need to trade a player, to go get the player they need so that their team can be competitive and win. So it's an interesting question. Like, would you like to see Hughes take a little bit more of a aggressive stance in the marketplace, like some of these GMs?
It's not the right time, Marco. Still rebuilding.
Well, like based on what Vegas has just done, Coach.
Vegas is not a rebuilding team.
Well, they were an expansion.
An open door. They got Fleury, they got Theodore, they got everybody. It's not like an expansion team. It's again around everything.
So assets are assets, right? So it's you're given assets, and then you make decisions based on the assets you have. So the assets that Vegas had back then were players. Montreal now has assets, which is young prospects and players. How you use those assets?
But you trade Cole Caulfield and all. All right, they trade with Shevnikov example. All right, just place a first round pick. Just mix up this together. But Montreal Canadiens, that's going to become better right away. It would take them again 3 more years. They are not there yet. During the time you liquid, everything is not good. What is now they don't need in the future. From that, after that, you can go to the next phase of the rebuilding. Until then, you just patch up. You try to get a little bit better to Caulfield, but we still have Armia, Anderson, Gallagher, Evans, and the rest of the team. Until you don't drop them out, and then you get your player you're looking for. I'll just give you a name again. I'm not sure about Joshua Ruel, Lennartson, Mayuk, Rebacker, Fowler, those core. Until then, I don't see the Montreal should go that direction until then. Then after that, they got those players, and they know exactly what they look like, and they're a little bit more ceiling about that. I think now you can open the door to maybe trade Cole Caulfield, maybe trade Owen Beck, maybe trade Kirby Doc or Alex Neil, whatever who they are. And that will add more better asset and return like the team like Vegas do. But when you're not there, I don't see Montreal should go that direction right now. I don't see that at all.
I think overall, Coach, what I'm alluding to is the mindset, right? So I'm not saying that Montreal has the same level of assets that Vegas did at the time that they were able to make all these moves, right? That's debatable. But I think you're right. They don't have the same quality of assets that maybe Vegas had at the beginning of the process. So I get it, right? However, it's the mindset that I'm talking about, right? So whether it's to get to the same level that Vegas was, I'm not saying that Montreal could immediately become a perennial contender by being more aggressive, but they could maybe accelerate the process by being more aggressive if they do it in a smart way. What that means is kind of things like we talked about, right? Packaging assets to bundle up with bad contracts and get them out faster rather than waiting 3 years for those to expire off so that you can move faster, right? So overall, I guess, is I find it inspiring that Vegas is that aggressive. They break the norms of what other NHL teams think is possible when it comes to how they conduct business. I like, it's kind of like
Marco.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I ask a question just along those lines then? Do you think that type of decision making, though, has created almost the antithesis of what Hughes is trying to create here in terms of the culture? Because let's face it, some of the players that had to leave Vegas did not leave on the best of terms, and even some of the coaches that were kind of, it's a business decision, and they just Okay, move on and let's move forward with our team. Does it create a negative environment that maybe not today because they're winning, but down the road players might not want to go there?
Yeah. Again, it's that's what I mean. It's a totally different philosophy for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
that there, I see Luc is asking like, if it's such a great philosophy and idea, why aren't more teams doing that? Well, it's because Vegas is kind of just inventing it. No teams have ever done this really at this level before. These are all kind of all the rules that are kind of currently in the collective bargaining agreement and things like that. Those things didn't exist in the 80s and in the 90s, right? So they're looking at the new NHL and they're looking at how can they adapt to it. So whether whether it's more, a team is going to be more successful, really kind of working closely like we've seen Kent Hughes do with those assets and really being careful on how they manage those situations and be respectful with their veteran players and whatever, is that in the long run going to be more successful than teams making the business decisions they need to make in order to make their team better? It's debatable because if you're a player looking to sign as a free agent, yes, you want to be treated well, but you want to win too, right? So now Vegas does have other kind of advantages, right? Like it's a tax free state. It's Vegas. A lot
true,
of guys like the
true. It's
weather
hot.
and everything else. There's a
Yeah,
lot of other
there's like,
factors where players would want to choose to play in Vegas, right? But ultimately, I think players want to win. And if you're establishing a culture that every year, we're going to be a team that is really trying to win, then I think you're going to attract good players as well, right? But it's an interesting debate.
yeah, yeah, it is. It is, and the only difference I would add to that as well is they did have a different starting point than most expansion teams in the way that the rules for expansion occurred, and then even on the side they were making deals with teams to say, okay, we won't pick this player that you put on as expendable, but you're going to have to at some point give us a first and a third or something. So that helped get for them to get that base so that they can make the kind of decisions that they're currently making. Um,
Mhm.
and it's, I mean, Seattle, you can make the same argument because the rules were the same, but it was different. It wasn't the first time that managers had gone through that experience and didn't know quite well how to deal with it. And so we see the difference between, let's say, a Seattle, which is still doing well in my eyes, as an expansion team versus where Vegas is.
We'll see. Can't argue with the with the results in Vegas though, right? Like
No, no,
you
no.
can't argue with the results. So again, guys, like I think that in life, not just in hockey, right? But you should be open to seeing how other people are innovating in the space that you work in, and you should be open to trying to think differently, right? So I know that it's good to have a plan and to be committed to a plan and see it through and everything else. But in my view, it's always good to reevaluate the plan. Is the plan working as well? Do we need to change the plan, modernize the plan on things that we're seeing in the marketplace? So I hope that Kent Hughes, takes a look at kind of how Vegas does business, and maybe there's an opportunity for Montreal to learn a thing or two about how aggressive you can be using the assets you have to move things in your direction a little faster. That's all I'm saying.
They did last year, Marco. They trade the 31 and 37 from you.
Keep it up. More of that. I want more of that.
But I
More of
think
that.
they still have one more year before they go the next phase of that. They have to
Yeah,
liquid all the bad war, the bad. 42 deal this week in NHL, 23 only on one specific day, Friday. A lot of action around the NHL for the trade deadline, and I want to share it with you. I apologize because this was before, but the biggest trade during the week, honestly, I believe around it was all those players: Earl, Guanzel, Anifin, Toffoli, Monahan, Lindholm, Danev, Tarasenko, Middlestad, okay, as your Baron, and you can go to those, but they are the biggest name get out of that hurdle. Guanzel, Anifin, for me, they are really the big one with Lingholm. The Calgary Flame was involved with a lot of those about this. But I would like to go that direction, guys. The winner and the loser of the the trade today or during the week, what make the team better now to go that direction. And I'm going to give you some of them, and you can add more in the chat if you think no, they are not the winner, everything like that. And hopefully we can discuss about what they did, what they are looking for. And the winner on that one, guys, I have Calgary, Carolina, Colorado, Dallas, Vegas, Winnipeg, and Montreal. Now you can add more team. I just give you an idea there. If your name of your team start with the letter C, you're in a good position. No, just kidding. That's
Seriously.
happening about that. So again, they are not by order.
And at the end,
Uh, Canadian, yes, exactly. I put this on the end, but that give you a little bit an idea what they look like overall. So can share it. You can jump in on one specific team. You can say, no, this team should not be the winner, maybe a loser, whatever it is. So the next hour, that's we're going to finish the show that way. Well, 30 minutes, I'll have to go to other things. But I would like to hear from you guys. What do you think about this? And we can go from there.
you want to start?
It's hard to know. Well, it's just hard. These are conversations you see a lot, on different sports channels and stuff after the trade deadline. But I find it just such a hard conversation to have as to who's a winner or loser until you see what happens in the playoffs, right? But in terms of, I would frame it this way: like who achieved what they were trying to achieve the most, I think, is the way that I would put it. Calgary, if you look at what they're trying to do, is they didn't want to reproduce what happened with Johnny Gaudreau, and they didn't want assets walking out the door for nothing. So, so in that sense, Craig Conroy was successful in collecting some assets. In a way, though, to be honest, because it looks to me like the Flames want to do more of a retool on the fly than a rebuild, right? Because management didn't want them to trade Markstrom. You've still got Kadri, you have Huberdeau, you've got pretty big pieces there, right? So it's not really set up there to do a full rebuild. So if your intent was to do a retool, if I'm Craig Conroy, I would have wanted to get more roster players instead of draft picks, to be honest, for some of the returns. And, so again, were they able to flip resources that they knew they weren't going to be able to re-sign into more assets? Yes. But for me, I don't, until now anyways, who knows, Conroy might use the picks that they got and flip them for players. Like, again, it's hard to until they kind of like see the plan all the way through, we don't know what's going to happen. But for me, it doesn't fit what I think the plan should be for Calgary, because it looks like they're doing a retool and not a rebuild. Maybe we go one team at a time here. Entertap, what are your thoughts on Calgary, how they did?
Well, I mean, when you look at quantity of what they got, I mean, on paper it looks good, and I agree with the fact that they didn't want to get into those situations like they did with Kachuk and Goudreau and repeat history that way. I'm just not so sure that the return that they got for the players that they had to deal out. I mean, you're looking at the fact that they got rid of their number one center in Lindholm. They got rid of their number one defense in Hanifin, and then they also got rid of Chris Tannen.
I don't think he's their number.
Arguably,
really their number.
Okay, arguably, yeah. And okay, you could say that they're a little bit older, and obviously maybe they're not part of their future. But I just think they could have probably got a little bit more for them, and I think they bit at the first opportunity to make these trades, and what they got is what they got. I know that they got a stack of draft picks as well to go along with guys like Miramonov and Kuzmenko and so forth. But I don't know. Has that changed the outset for Calgary moving forward?
Like I said,
I'm looking at what do they have in their farm system. I mean, they've got a couple of really promising players, but I think that's about it.
Zary and Pospisil. So Zary and Pospisil came up. They've had an immediate
Pelletier.
positive impact on that. Yeah, well, Peltier's been in and out of the lineup, hasn't really had an impact yet. Like, hasn't really been able to really set his imprint in the NHL. But Zary and Pospisil are really the two guys. You have what's the Caminado? Is that the guy
Coronado? Coronado?
Coronado, yeah. So he's going to have an opportunity to come up. But like I said, Undertap, like, to me, they're not committing to a complete rebuild. They looks like they want to do a retool. So if that was your objective, I'm not sure you really kind of got the assets, unless he's going to take those picks, like I said, and convert them into young roster players that can kind of come and help them right away. So for me, I give them a pass. I'll give them a passing grade. Like, it's always tough when you're a team and you're put in a position where you have to react more so than you're proactively trying to do something. So, Coach, would you agree it's a passing grade for Calgary? But you think you put them in your winner category? But
yeah, they had a great asset. 2 first-round pick, Cherenkovic, the rookie Berenzokowicz, Kuzmenko behind that one also. They have 5-round pick, but 2 of them first-round pick, 1 second-round pick. If you calculate all the moves and they decide to go that direction, they don't go on the rebuilding, but they keep the flow of the team could move forward. And they add, and they believe on the rookie. They have Zary over there. They have Betsy going to join there. They not destroyed the defenseman when you have Weger, Ramus Anderson over there. They still have now Kennington back. They still have the good goaltender on that, Max Rom. And then the forward, not a bad. So I think they don't see the appreciation of Conroy. But if you look about what they got in return and what they get a first round pick twice, I think that's pretty good to match. Because remember, like 2 years ago, they tried to go all in before they lose Goudreau and Ketchup, right? They trade the first round pick, and then they get Kadri, and then they trade the first round pick Monahan to get that. They patch up back right away. I think their move, they're going to be keep them and where they are a long term, I think.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's a passing grade. Yeah, they get a passing grade. Yeah. Carolina guys.
That's different story.
Strange one, right? Like, so very interesting. I think usually they're very. It's not in their nature, right? Like, they don't like to do rentals.
To go after rentals or even make these kind of deals at trade deadline time. You're right.
No, arguably they get the top player available at the deadline, which is Gensel. To me, it's a fair price. Like, I don't think they overpaid for getting Gensel. The bit of a head scratcher and the huge gamble is obviously Kuznetsov, right? So did not see that one coming, other than the hurdle deal at 2:59 p.m. right before the deadline. I think that was the biggest surprise of trade deadline is Washington. You knew that, obviously Washington and Kuznetsov both were ready to make a change because Kuznetsov's had some issues with substance abuse and obviously hasn't been very productive on the ice over the last 2 seasons. So, Washington wanted to move on. It's clear that the player probably felt that it was time for a change as well. But again, this is a team that's aggressive. Now, obviously, Kuznetsov only has 1 more year after this one. It's not like Gallagher where there's another 3 years. But, Coach, here's another team that is not afraid to use assets to take care of a problem. They get rid of a situation, that it's expensive though. You got to pay 50% of the guy's salary. Interesting gamble for Carolina. Like, if Kuznetsov is 75% of the player that he was before, then they have a very, very good second line center. The issue with Carolina in the past is scoring, right? Like, they've had issues scoring. So, it bumps down Kotkaniemi, probably back down to the 4th line, most likely.
And they put him on the wing now.
Yeah. So interesting move, a bit of a risk, I would say, with Kuznetsov, because how quickly is he going to be able to get back into game shape? He hasn't played a lot, but there's no question that guy has a is elite level talent. And the year that the Caps won, the Stanley Cup, you could argue that he's the one that should have won, uh, the MVP trophy, not Ovechkin. To be honest, he was that good. So I don't know what you guys think about Carolina.
Well, I think we started off in the right direction when we said that it's not something Carolina obviously engages in making these kind of deals for rentals. They just don't really give up valuable futures like first round picks, and especially for these kind of players where they're taking a gamble on. Well, maybe not Gunsel, because obviously he has history and he's going to be a good one. I thought that was a very good trade for Carolina. I'm a little bit concerned with Kuznetsov, just because you don't know what you're getting. If he's at the top of his game, he's one of the best, and if not, this could really send the train off the rails here, because all you need sometimes is one bad apple in the mix, and it almost seemed, again, I don't want to use the word panic, but for lack of a better term, it seems like they went all in this year, knowing that we've been in this race for 4 or 5 years now, and what's been our Achilles heel? It's been lack of scoring, especially in the playoffs. So kudos to them that I think they may have addressed that. Whether it'll stick together and take them far, we'll wait and see.
Yeah, like the thing, I guess it really depends on what your team culture can absorb. So I think I heard somebody say this in at some point on one of the many shows I watched today, some comments, but I agree, right? Like, there's not a lot of teams where the team takes on the personality of the coach. You
Yeah,
could argue, Martin Saint Louis has that kind of profile, and Rod Brindamore is certainly that way, right? So if there's one team that has a strong enough culture built in that they can potentially absorb a guy like Kuznetsov and not have him be a problem, because again, it's hard, right? Like, it's kind of like if you jump in the river, and the you know the flow of the water, the current in the water is just too strong, in a positive way. It's you just have to kind of go with the flow, right? Like, and so
yeah.
it seems like the majority of Carolina, they're all pulling in the same direction. So really, to me, I think he'll be fine in terms of his character and all that, but it's, can he get back into game shape and be the same kind of player in the time frame that they need, right? So we'll see.
Well,
Coach, did you like
they
the
have the right
Kuznetsov?
coach. They have the right
Yeah,
coach to sort of keep him in
yeah,
line, I think.
yeah. Did you like the Kuznetsov move,
Uh,
Coach?
they 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 look about what they are missing for the last couple of years on the playoff. The lack of productivity. I think that was they were satisfied. The second line now they are scoring on the top six, and we have those kind of line come back with like the wave, and they have a grinder third line with Jordan Saw with Martinook fast, which combined with a little bit of grits with Martinook and a little bit offensive with Stahl and skilled player like them. Great defensive side that gave them a great top nine overall for that. And you have to have Martin Nekash, Terevenen, and Shevnikov is getting now back help at 100% recovery. And you have the defensive players like Slavin, Diapache, Burns, Olav, and again Chatfield for some kind in front of the net. And now it's going to be all the way to see if they are still healthy by Anderson. Uh, or honestly, that would be the ones going to carry on that team. So I think they are a little bit better prepared for the playoff. And I think they can compete now with anybody in the Metropolitan Division. If you can get out of the Metropolitan, but after that, you never know what could happen. And now the only team you can compete them is New York Rangers. I did not like what they did, the Rangers so far. Very quiet. Did not like the Adam Weber trade. Like they're not increasing the level of what. So
You
will be
changed your
interesting
mind on
to
that
see
one.
coming out the winner of the
I thought you liked
Metropolitan.
You changed your mind on that one. I thought you liked Wenberg,
No,
because remember
no,
we
never,
talked
no,
about the Rangers.
never
Remember we
like him.
talked about Drury got a
He
lot of
won't hurt him.
criticism because he tinkered too much with their team last year. So We were thinking it actually, he kind of decided to go the other way. And again, coach, like what we see a lot in a lot of these teams is sometimes the teams that don't tinker that much, they just make sneaky little moves, like what the Rangers did. Sometimes those are the teams that have the best, kind of success, right? So sometimes getting the flashiest player doesn't necessarily mean that it relates to more success in the playoffs. So we'll see. But Carolina, I think they did certainly identify the scoring issue that they had, and they didn't
Colorado, on
overspend.
the other hand,
Yeah,
I
but you
like
could
what they
argue
did.
Colorado, like they had to, right? Because of how well McKinnon and Makar and Rantanen are playing,
Rantanen, yeah,
because of how good they are, you just can't go into this playoff with Johansson as your second line center. So,
yeah,
it's similar to what we just said about the Carolina culture. You're confident that they're a cup winning team. You're confident that the core that you have there is going to be strong enough to absorb Middlestat and Walker. That adding a new second line center is a pretty big change, right? But
yeah.
they must be pretty confident that they can absorb those changes, and they probably in their calculation said it's a bit of a risk changing the chemistry of our team this late in the season, but we just don't have a choice because we don't think that we have a good chance to win a cup with Johansson as our second line or even our third line center, right?
And that was
So
legit.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
know
tend
what I know they lost Byram. It did cost them that to get Middlestat, but that's sometimes the price you have to pay. But they've kind of filled that gap a little bit with Sean Walker. Plus, they have solid defense anyways there, so that I'm not overly
yeah,
worried there.
no,
And the fact that I think they added a solid fourth liner in Brandon Duheim from the
yeah.
Wild. That'll help to kill penalties, and brings a little bit of physical play to the game as well. So, overall, I think it was something they had to do, as you said, and it should help them in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I guess one thing we forgot to mention about Carolina, probably the biggest move for them is a healthy Freddie Anderson, right? Like we saw against Montreal. So I forgot to mention that about Carolina. But yeah, Colorado. If you had any doubts of them, like I think everybody had them in at least in the top 5 teams that would be favorites to win the Stanley Cup. I think based on their moves, they certainly haven't hurt their chances. I think they've increased their chances. But the West is just going to be a total bloodbath. It's going to
Oh
be
yeah,
like if that's another takeaway from this deadline, coaches, the arms race that we saw in the West, right? Like, yes, there's a lot of teams that improve themselves in the East, but like it's really going to be there's going to be some really really good teams that get knocked out right in the first round, right? So I agree.
you got it.
Colorado,
You have 8 strong teams there, Marco. That's 4 teams that are going
yeah,
to come out of that first round very disappointed.
for sure. So moving on here, we have Dallas on
Yeah,
this list. Like, I picked Dallas to win the cup at the beginning of the year, and again, I don't love making those predictions at the beginning of the year because you don't know what's going to happen. So great pickup with Tanev, and again, it's one of those teams. Didn't do that much to tinker, but again, like they haven't had too many additions up front. But then you have Stankoven that's joined the team here and starting to play well, and some of the younger players. And to me, Dallas is such a great example of LA and Dallas. To me, are probably two of the most successful retools that you would ever see in NHL history. Right? Looking back at LA, they kept Doughty and they kept Kopitar and Brown for a while, and they were able to trade some other pieces like Toffoli and all that. And then they made some trades, and then whoops, they were maybe only 3 years that they're out of the playoffs, and boom, they're retooled, and now they're competitive again. So same kind of thing with Dallas, right? Like you wondered, you had Seguin and you have Ben, and they have these huge deals, and you're like, oh my god, how are they going to stay competitive as these old players get old? But they just found a way to really draft and develop some good young players to kind of like connect with those veteran players that they have. So I really like Dallas. Maybe it's one of those things where they're more winners at the deadline because they didn't over tamper with what they have. Tanev is a good ad for them for sure. But the biggest addition in terms of upfront are the players that they already have and that are just continue to develop and join the roster. So
Yeah, and with I mean, they've also had Sagan that's been injured, and he was having a decent year as well. So once he gets back into the equation, I agree. Stankoven really adds quite a dimension to the team. I like his grit that he brings, and he's not afraid to get his nose dirty. And Tanov really, I think that was the key area to address. It was defense for Dallas, and I think there was a lot of minutes that both Heikkinen and Harley was undertaking, that this gives them that opportunity now to sort of distribute the pairings a little bit better and make them that much more effective.
I think they have Tanev playing with Lindell, so that's a really
Lindell,
good, so a really nice pair there. I think we talked a lot about Vegas already, so
skip over
the thing with well, the one thing we didn't talk about, guys, is the fact that they're only 2 points away from not being in a playoff position too, right? And
wouldn't that be a story?
Well, it wouldn't be the first time. Like, remember a couple of years ago, like they kind of did the same thing, and they remember they won the Stanley Cup, but the year before that they missed the playoffs, right? So if they can get in, then we'll see if Stone comes back. Like, I know people are very conspiratorial about what's wrong with Mark Stone, but the reports are that he has a ruptured spleen, right? So that's serious, I would say. But great additions for them, and if they're able to get in, it's going to be complicated, guys. Like, they're going to have to shuffle their lineup. Like, remember the year they didn't make the playoffs? There's times where they didn't even have enough roster players because they couldn't go over the cap, and so it's going to be tricky for them to actually make it in here. Their goaltending, I think Aiden Hill kind of struggled a little bit in the last 10 games or so, but I think they went 2-7-1 in their last 10. So they need to kind of turn the ship around pretty quickly. But overall, I think we've talked about Vegas enough. Let's talk about Winnipeg, Intertep. I'll let you take that one because I know you're excited. Go for it.
Well, they did absolutely what they needed to do. They addressed two areas. They added a winger into Foley that can bring scoring to that team. Not that they didn't have scoring, but what this allows them to do now is to really play around with the lines a little bit and sort of gives them that it gives Bonus the flexibility to try different things out there. I think they're really perfectly set with their third line. You don't get a more truculent line than they have there with Lowry. And their fourth line is not too bad either, especially when you see guys like Nemestikov that's moved, can play pretty much at any of those spots and fill in perfectly. And as soon as Velarde comes back, the key is for him to stay healthy, I think. Then on defense, I think they did a good job there too of addressing that and just giving them a third, fourth pairing, a second pairing, but a third, fourth defenseman that will alleviate some of the minutes that their top guys like Morrissey and Pionk have to log. And when you got a goalie like they do, which I think right now is probably the leading player for the Vezina, they could go far. The only thing I see is you have a very, very, very competitive Western Conference. And like we said earlier, depending on who you play that first round, you could be out the first round, and not because you played poorly, just that you couldn't beat a better team, maybe.
Yeah, well, Cheveldayoff is in the past was kind of considered a pretty conservative GM. There's a lot of times, like when Winnipeg were at the peak of their powers, right? Remember where they had Bufflin and Wheeler, was that had his peak, and when they were really kind of a powerhouse, like they finished in the top 5 in the league. And there's a lot of Winnipeg fans at that time that felt that, Cheveldayoff kind of sat on his hands a little bit at these deadlines and didn't really kind of go all in and everything else. So I think you can definitely say that Cheveldayoff definitely kind of took the hammer, took the horns by the handle here and really kind of went for it with this trade deadline. So if you look at one thing that people may not remember or realize is that Monahan and Toffoli have quite the history together. Not only did they play together in Calgary for a brief time, but they were arguably one of the top pairing, forwards in the OHL, and they both played for the Ottawa 67s. So they have a long
Mm-hmm.
history of playing together, right? So you almost have this instant chemistry there with Monahan and Toffoli. So I'm sure that's something they'll try to take advantage of. But Toffoli, what a strange ride for him, right? Like really stable career with Los Angeles, and then I guess really Ottawa and Edmonton are the only Canadian teams that he hasn't played for now. So kind of a crazy thing. But again, I don't understand the move for New Jersey, especially if they're going to be still fighting to get in, because he's their top goal scorer right now for New Jersey, right? So great move for Winnipeg. I really like they've done. It just gives them a lot of options. Like they didn't have a lot of right shots. So for the power play, that's one thing probably that you could criticize for Winnipeg is their power play. I think is in the mid-20s, so not a really successful power play. The other thing I
But
could have seen
ever
them
since ever since Monahan's gone over, that's
run a
improved
bit better.
drastically. 'Cause I think
Yeah,
they were bottom 5 or 6 at one point.
yeah. So that's definitely an area of focus that they looked at. You could argue like Morrissey is a great two-way defenseman, but they don't still really have like a power play specialist guy. That would have been maybe something
Mhm.
rather than bringing in like another heavy defenseman. You could have maybe it would have been smart to bring in like a Tyson Berry, as a somebody to really kind of like quarterback your power play unit because if something happens with Morrissey, they don't have anybody really on the back end. Like Pionk is okay, but I think that's my only weakness that I see is like a little bit of offense from the back end for Winnipeg. But we'll see. Overall, really happy with what they did. Coach, I'm surprised that you don't have Florida on this list of winners. You don't
They are
think?
the middle. They're not the biggest winner.
I
I don't
thought it
know,
was
man.
pretty
Like,
good.
yeah,
They didn't do a
they,
lot, but what they did, I thought, was add to
yeah,
their
They
area of
had
need, which was
Tarasenko.
yeah,
yeah.
Tarasenko's going to give him that scoring punch, and he also brings that playoff experience that I mean, they obviously went far last year and they learned quite a bit, but this helps out even more so. And I guess
Florida just
the other thing we neglect here is the re-signing of Forsling. I
yeah.
think that was key. What did he sign? An 8 year? I forget how much he made. They gave him. I think around 6 million or five and a half, somewhere around there. But that was a great signing too. So.
Didn't Florida do something else though, other
I think it was
than?
just Tarasenko. I think it was just
I
him.
think there's something else too.
Was there?
They got a guy from
Yeah.
Let me
Buffalo.
check.
Oh, Okposo. We got
Oh,
Okposo.
Kyle Caposo. Yeah, yeah. That's not bad.
That's a
Fourth line.
yeah,
Yeah.
like just adding to their depth, adding to guys that are going to fit that program. I liked what they did. Um, so
I
other
can
than that,
answer
coach,
for
like
that one. Why Montreal is there? Because Montreal got a first round pick for Sean Monahan on that one. If you look about all the first round pick, all the team are not in the playoff or they are not contender. Give me a name of them, and you're not going to see them. Montreal got a first round pick now, increasing the asset to get a first round pick. That's the reason they got that one there. If you think about what they got for Lingholm, if you get about Renke and all those center, Montreal get more overall, and I think that's the reason behind they are considered one of the winner compared to other team in the NHL. top. They are not the top 5, but they are the side of the winner because they got the first one pick, Sean Mannion. So that's the
You
reason.
have to really
Coach, are you
compliment.
Coach? Sorry, Coach. Were you surprised that they didn't get rid of Pearson, even if it was for a 7th?
The problem is that money come with Pearson at $3.5 million was the biggest problem for that.
No salary
Okay.
retention slots left, right? Like if you have to,
Yeah.
they had to choose what the salary retention slot they were going to use, and so there's no way you're trading Pearson. But to me, last on Montreal, like just kudos to Hughes, really understanding and reading the market and understanding not to sit on that offer for Monahan. Just he gave the example of when they did that trade that when they were looking to move, I think a defenseman last year. He remembers noticing like, we weren't sure what was going to be in the market, but all of a sudden we didn't know that Orlov was going to be on the defense market, right? And that completely changes what the market is, right? So sometimes it's nice to it's a good plan to kind of sit back and wait and see if you can get more, but sometimes you just have to read the market and understand this is a good offer. We just need to take it. So here's a good question, guys. Like if Kent Hughes decides to wait until today to trade Monahan, do you think he also gets a first round pick? Because to me, it looked like the prices, totally became a buyer's market today, right? Like prices went down today instead of going up. So I think Kent
Yeah,
Hughes,
that's a good
his timing
question.
was, yeah.
All right,
Coach,
we're
I
going to
disagree with
flip
not
the
having
other
the
side, if you don't mind, for that part. And the loser of this, Boston, the Sun Kings, the New York Rangers, Pittsburgh, and San Jose.
yeah. I disagree with having the Rangers on this list, Coach. I think they should be on the winners list, personally.
Which one?
You got the Rangers.
Who
I
they got?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure I would put them as winners, but here's what I will say. I think last year they overreacted and went to get a couple of players that kind of disrupted the chemistry of the team. They were playing well until they got both Kane and Tarasenko on the team. Um, this year I think they saw that they've been playing very, very well lately. It looks like Shesterkin's back at the top of his game. They didn't want to disrupt the chemistry too much, so just having Wemberg there gives them a little bit of depth, but they're going forward with what they feel is a team that could go far, and I can definitely see that.
But they
So
don't
for
fix
me,
the right winger. When you have Gwenzel to
No, they didn't.
fully, they have a lot of right winger on the market, and they let go all the way of them. Who's going to be the top 6 winger?
the Rangers,
Yeah.
they have plenty of options.
Oh, they have
Which option
Plenty
they
of
have? They
options.
scored 30 goals in NHL so far. They have no
Chris
one.
Kreider. Chris Kreider is your top
He played the
winger.
left
Panarin.
winger of the Zibanejad. They have Kako, not very
Kako, yeah.
impressive. After that, now they have a better because they put Lafreniere on the second line as a winger over there. So my point, they are not a winner because they not fix the problem to go on the playoff. They bring Ruzovic and they bring Wenberg over Shedil, a third
Well,
center. It's
to me
not
that was
fix
the
their
problem.
problem when you have Monan and Rinky, Langholm right there. They don't go for
Ring-
that part. So if you don't fix during the time, Carolina increasing their chance, Florida increasing their chance, and I can go all the way like that. That's the reason they are not a winner
But
on that.
yeah, but the
to
point
me,
is, it's a very delicate situation. I think they got burned last year because of that, and so they were a lot more cautious, Coach.
But
I,
that's the,
I, I
wait,
think
that's
they
the
saw
reason
that
they are no
there's
winner enough that.
no,
no,
but
like
but you have to look at it from the perspective. I think there's been improvement every year, especially this year with Lafreniere, so that helps. I think Kako can up his game a little bit more. So I think they're putting their eggs in that basket. Whether it'll pan out, I don't know. I agree. They could have. I mean, Roslovic for me doesn't move the needle too much for them, but I mean they're strong on the left side, I think, and down the middle, I mean there's no complaining there. Defensively, they're sound, and goaltending wise, even if Shesterkin doesn't play his A game or gets hurt, you still have a very experienced quick that can come in and probably translate.
But think about this,
Yeah.
right? Just
Yeah.
just for the New York Rangers, do you think they have not?
Yeah.
Do you believe that with add Jake Gwanzel, they have a chance to get
Oh,
out of the
it'd be perfect.
Metropolitan? They gave the
But
first
what
round
was the
pick
price?
2024 to the Pittsburgh Penguins, and you can see on the I would say to you a prospect they can have a Brennan Altman example they can give in return to him. Would put this with the first round pick to get Jake Wanzen and see after that if they're going to see you bury me all night about Vegas. They make a big move, whatever, and they leave on the day at the day on the daily sorry cap. The Rangers can go that direction over there. I think there will be a chance to get out because you you only need Marco to get out of your division. This is the goal at the GM. Because when you get out the GM of the division, after that you have only one role and one round to go to final. And everything could happen at that division. You could have other team like Boston make it all the way with Florida, and they get hurt on the third round of the playoff. For me, I think the Rangers. That's the reason I feel they could move a big piece of the puzzle to go all the way to that because this is a chance they have this year.
So again, it depends what you mean by winner, right? So if like for me it's all what was the team trying to achieve and were they able to achieve what they wanted to achieve. So there's no question I think that they were in on a guy like Gensel, but from what it sounds like it's like Pittsburgh preferred the assets that were being offered by Carolina. They wanted to, they just I think we know Kyle Dubas really likes Michael Bunting and maybe just a little bit more familiar with that asset compared to what was being offered with the Rangers. Because again, you know that Dubas in the situation that he's in, he's trying to do a retool as well. Even though I think everybody but him sees that it's impossible to do a retool with that core. Anyways, whole other topic. For me, the Rangers, their biggest thing is they needed to fill that hole with Heedle not being available for the rest of the year. So I think they get a
Yeah.
capable player there with Wenberg. I don't think they're super concerned about the Rangers' issues being eliminated last year wasn't really about goal scoring, in my opinion. I think they got goalied last year. Like Schmid was just on a whole like on a weird streak, which he hasn't been able to reproduce since, right?
Yeah.
So to me, Panarin is having an amazing season. Kreider is being Kreider. You're seeing Lafreniere reach another level. We all know kind of what the situation is with Kako, obviously. But I think their depth is right there. Roslovic to me is a good depth position. He can play center, he can play wing, good versatile player. Maybe a little less pressure. Like I think he was playing a little too high in Columbus's lineup. But if you slot him as a third line player for the Rangers, then I like their depth. So I don't think
Yeah.
I think
And
ultimately
it's,
they're not the biggest winners, but they accomplished what they needed to accomplish today. They didn't give away the farm, so to me, I still consider them winners.
yeah, I just would put them in the middle of the road. I don't think they were winners nor losers. The other
Yeah,
thing, Coach, I mean, they didn't have a lot to deal with. If you look at their drafts, they have. I mean, they managed to keep their first for the next 3 years. But then, if you look at their second, their third, their fourth rounds, there's nothing there. They don't have those picks, so it would have been very difficult for them to. And if you look at their prospects, they're not one of the heavier ranked teams in terms of their prospects at this stage. So it would have been difficult for them to disrupt the chemistry of what they have going and offer something that it would have taken to get a player of that nature.
yeah. But I agree with a lot of the rest of your list here, Coach. There's again hard to call people losers because we don't know what's going to happen in the playoffs, right? And that's ultimately what
Yeah,
is
so
going
the
to.
reason they call this winner loser the trade line is if they improve their team they go a bit more
Yeah.
farther with the hole they have at the trade deadline. So they missing a couple of pieces of the puzzle. Like I think Colorado for me, they add grits, they add Drennan, and that will helping them to go. I forgot another one they had another
Duhaime.
grits. Who?
Duhaime.
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 Yeah. So
Duhaime.
Duhaime
Yeah. Yeah.
on the fourth line, I think that will help. That will helping them, and then they bring Walker over Ram. So they fixed the area. So Colorado, in my opinion, they are a better team today because they fixed the. That's the reason between the team winning at the third
Yeah,
line
no, I
versus the team
understand.
losing.
I understand,
But
but
the
we just
outcome at the end of the playoff would over
exactly, exactly.
the day of today, right? It's just about today. That's the reason I feel for me, Ranger are not there because they not fix the whole. They are a team
I
whole
think
believer on the fix. They believe what they have is good enough to go all the way.
I think the biggest hole was center. They fixed that. That's my opinion. I agree. Boston, to me, again, the way that I consider whether it's more did they accomplish what they wanted to accomplish. I think Boston did want to add for sure, and I didn't see the press conference, but I read a couple tweets saying that Don Sweeney looked very disappointed in his press conference. You could tell that he wanted to do something. I think there was a lot of talk around Allmark in particular. There was a couple moves that he had in place, but
Mhm.
Allmark ended up refusing them because I don't think he wants to play on the left coast on the West Coast. So I think one of them was with LA.
On the
Mark going to LA.
Well, that's the
So
team that had an offer for him.
yeah, yeah. So unfortunately, that didn't pan out for Boston. LA, again, to me, they would have been a much better fit for Allen than New Jersey. That it just makes a lot more sense. But they're just really, really tied up against the cap. So pretty hard to make that work with Montreal, even with holding that salary. Pittsburgh. Oh man, did you
And
guys see?
I you know what I would just add. Sorry, Marco. To finish off Boston, even though they didn't achieve the goal that they wanted to, I still think adding somebody like a Maroon definitely helps the team in terms of,
I yeah,
that depth and that experience, and really putting in. They picked up Andrew Peak from Columbus, I believe, right-handed defenseman who's going to give him some good size and some good minutes there. They're going to be a hard team to beat because of the way they're structured, but you're right. Up the middle, they could have used some more help.
and the good news for them is it's really looking like it's going to be a Toronto first round matchup. And they just swept the Leafs, in the regular season, and we know the history there, right? So they kind of live rent free in the Toronto Maple Leafs mind. I don't know if you guys watched that game, but it was pretty intense. A lot of message sending there, Bertuzzi, lots of scrapping. So, but if you read the room with the Toronto fans, it's interesting, right? Because every year the Leafs bring in players to try to make them more competitive and more gritty and more kind of like combative, but it's the top players really that are on the ice more often that have to kind of adopt that mentality, right? So same thing last night. You see Bertuzzi, you see Edmondson's going to come in, he's going to do a great job, be like really aggressive and do all that stuff. But if Matthews, Marner, Tavares, and Nylander aren't going to pay the price in the playoffs against Boston, it's going to be tough, right? So I agree, but Boston, I think they kind of, they're not losers, but they didn't really advance their
No,
cause very
no,
much. Did you guys see the Sidney Crosby's interview after they lost last night?
I
no.
did not. I did not.
Oh my God! So everybody was talking about it today. Like, Crosby is a professional, right? But if you go and watch the interview, you can see on his face just the amount of disappointment and just absolute kind of like how
Rejection.
destroyed he was. Yeah, just complete rejection of kind of what's been happening after the season. Another tough loss for them. You get your ass kicked after Gensel gets traded. Just very demoralizing time, and it's just really hard to see like such a great player. To me, it just doesn't make sense. Like I know I don't know why players feel it's so important to play with one team your whole career. I get it. Like Mario did it, and other players have done it. But I don't know, man. Like
I admire that aspect. I think the onus should have been more on the management to properly structure that team. They made some choices that I think put them back 2 steps instead of forward 1 step, and now they're slowly paying the price. And that's been my argument all year long. I said they're a very talented team, of course they are, but will they be able to you know, go through the rigors of an NHL season at that pace, given the ages that they're at now. And the Carlson trade did not really. I mean, his stats are decent, they're good, but they're nothing like what they were with San Jose. So
no, well,
that
overall,
was a good pickup.
yeah. Well, his points totals are not, but his overall play is much better than it was last year. Like his overall numbers as a player are much better, right? Like he was. So if you look at Carlson's player card
Yeah,
this
but
year compared to
has it affected Letang? Yeah, I think it has a little
last,
bit.
I think sure, but ultimately it just comes down to the fact that they just don't have enough depth, right? They just don't, right? Like
Yeah,
it's hard. Like you could say Malkin maybe hasn't produced at the level that you would have needed, but their top guys for the most part haven't been the issue in Pittsburgh. Their goaltending has been good. It's just they just don't have enough depth, right? And that's maybe Dubas did have a lot of experience in Toronto, trying to build bottom six, kind of players, like gluing things together with very little cap room, trying to find bargain players. So he's good at that, right? But it just didn't work out for them this year. And anyways, whole other thing. So Pittsburgh, I guess they're going to they get a resource back, like they get Michael Bunting. Dubas knows that guy. They get some assets back, but overall, it's just a sad situation, in Pittsburgh and San Jose. Like, coach, I don't know why you have them as losers. You didn't like the return they got for Hurdle.
But the reason behind that, so was it why the reason is they don't get enough in return for all the moves they made overall. They don't get a lot of first round pick uh, from the trade. They get a lot of deep. They gave away the goaltender Kakkonen. They get Vezina in return. What Kakkonen, I believe, this part they gave Declare, and now they gave and they returned 17% of the salary cap of the Hurdle,
Hurdle.
and you have already Carlson. So they are their leverage now is for the next 6 years. And it's terrible
elaborate.
on the salary cap. That's the reason I put them on that level. So for me, they have to trade
I agree.
Hurdle, but no, they cannot returning money there.
To me, like coach, like so to me, this is here's a perfect example, right? So we're just talking about Pittsburgh, right? And what we were saying basically is Pittsburgh is refusing to really realize where they are, like in terms of they needed to like really strip this down maybe 2 years ago, right? San Jose is kind of the impact of doing what Pittsburgh is going to be San Jose in like 3 years from now, right? Is basically what we're saying. They stripped everything down. Tampa Bay might be in a similar situation soon as well. It's kind of like using like a astrological kind of like analogy. It's like a star that's burning out, right? Like the energy is just completely sapped out of the star at this point. Like all the juice has been sucked out of the thing that was there.
Yeah, the windows disappeared.
Oh yeah, and not only that, but similar to what I was saying. Like that's what I like about Vegas, right? Like, and St. Louis has done a good job. Tampa's done a good job of doing this. Is rather than watching the ship sink completely down. Okay, you can see the ship is starting to get water, so you start bailing out the water so that you can stay afloat, right? So San Jose wasn't able to do that. They knew the ship was sinking. They just let it go. So for me, in a way, they're not losers because at least they're embracing where they are. This is going to be a long, 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 long rebuild for San Jose. They
That's
are
very long.
starting from very long. Like Montreal, like you could say, like they started off with some assets. You had Suzuki, you had some, they did some good drafts, like they had Gooley, Caulfield before they kind of started this process, right? But with San
Yeah.
Jose, guys, like, there's not a lot there to build on. So this year is going to be,
They're worse off than Chicago.
oh yeah, absolutely, for sure, because they have negative contracts. They still have Couture that's there as well. They have Vlasic. I think. How long do they have on Vlasic? One more year or two?
1 or 2. I think it might be 2.
But to me, if I'm San Jose, I just embrace this now. Okay, so we're going, like, they're going to take the Arizona kind of route. So you know what? We're trying to collect assets, and coach, this is why I mentioned Gallagher when it came to San Jose, right? So if San Jose is looking to collect assets, to me, they're the perfect trading partner. What do they care if they have Gallagher's cap hit for the next 3-4 years, or Anderson, or one of those players? If you give them some young, either some young assets that they can rebuild with, or the picks, they're not going anywhere for the next minimum 5 years. So to me, they're overall, you can say, yes, San Jose, they're losers in the sense where it's terrible what's happened to their organization and they let it get to that point. But in a way, to me, it's a bit of like, it's a positive story because they're finally embracing who they are right now and what they are. And now it's time to just kind of do the hard work and start collecting those assets. So in a way, I agree with you because they didn't collect enough, but they don't have that much to trade. Like, there's not a lot of things there that, like, there's Mike Hoffman that they, but there's Barabanov, who is on some of the lists and everything, but the guy's got 3 goals this year, coach. So not a lot that teams wanted, right? So to me, they're going to have to get creative. I think they're a great trade partner for Montreal, like I said, to offload some assets. So we'll see how that plays out.
Awesome. We have 5 minutes for both of you, and after that, you can stay with me. We're going to go through the prediction of the game and then the quiz at the end. But 5 minutes with everything happening today. In the chat, who are the Stanley Cup winner and the runner-up of the Stanley Cup at the end?
It's hard.
It's hard to tell until you see the matchups, coach. I don't know what the matchups are going to be.
That means a lot. That means a lot. Which matchups they go
that's
with.
Called prediction. You have to read about you.
Well, yeah, but you're also predicting who they're playing, right? At this stage in the East, I would probably go with Florida as the team that'll come out of there.
And after that, who get out of each division? So going to make too much complicated for everybody. Tell me who is going to get out
in the first round. You mean
yeah? So the final 4.
Okay,
what will be your final 4 for each division?
Oh my gosh. Well, let's look at these. You got Florida would be playing Tampa Bay right now. So I think Florida comes out of that. Then you have the Rangers would take on Detroit. I think the Rangers win that. You got the Bruins and the Leafs. I think the Bruins win that. And you have right now Carolina and Philadelphia. I think Carolina wins that. So of those 4, what's the next matchup then? Is it would it be Florida?
Depends where they're seated, right? Like that's why it's hard to
seated. Yeah, it's hard to predict. But if I had to pick 2, you're asking, I guess, coach, pick 2 teams from the East and 2 from the West.
For each division.
Each division.
Okay. Oh, for each division. Florida, Rangers, Edmonton. And I'll go with I have to have a wild card in there. I'm going with Winnipeg.
So, coach, I agree with almost all of their enter taps, which sucks. I always don't like to agree with them, but I agree. So Rangers for the Met. I'll say Florida for the Atlantic. Pacific. Yeah, I have to go with Oilers too. But for Central, I'll say Dallas. I'll say Dallas instead of Colorado.
All right.
So
I'm
it's
different, a little bit
You-
different. So I'm
you
go
have
with
like,
Edmonton,
yeah,
Colorado,
yeah,
Carolina, and
yeah.
I want to say
Florida.
Toronto, but I'm not going to be too much crazy about that. Uh, it's just Florida have everything to lose right now. I think this is the team. I think right now they have everything to go all the way and to get that W, but it's never happened. So my question is, who can kick out Florida, Boston or Toronto?
I think Boston has a better chance.
Boston. I think
Yeah.
Boston.
All right. So
Sure.
who win
Yeah.
between Boston and Toronto?
Boston.
Boston. Yeah.
So I go with Boston, Carolina, Colorado, and the Edmonton. Now, why you go that direction? Because in October I said Edmonton, Carolina, so I'm not going to change my pick. I stuck with that, and honestly, the trade deadline was pretty good, so I go with that pick. And then I know you don't like it, Luciano, but I said Carolina to win the Stanley Cup, so I stuck with that all the way to the end. My friend, a bit rounded, but it is what it is
And
about that.
and look out
But
if the
no
Islanders
one
make it.
select. So no one select the Flyers. Do you believe? If it's shown right now, do you think the Flyers, the Detroit Red Wings, and the Tampa Bay Lightnings,
Can
which
upset
are the
some.
three teams are going to maybe to be kicked out, or all the three teams stay in the playoff?
So basically,
I
do you
think,
think the Islanders are gonna
yeah,
Tampa's in a bit of trouble right now?
yeah. There's only two teams that, if they're going to make the playoffs, that are currently not there. I still think it'll be the Islanders and the Devils if they make it. And who will they
Who?
kick out? Yeah,
Tampa.
well, I think we're going to see a bit of a drop with Philadelphia. I mean, we've seen it over the last little while.
It's just
They've
beat
gone, I think.
Florida and not that.
Yeah, I
I don't
know,
think
but if
Philly.
you
I
look
don't
at their
think
last
Philly's
10,
dropping on them.
it, their
Since the
last 10
October
games, they're
13, and
4
after that,
4
you said the Flyers going to be out of the playoff.
Yeah, and they've slowly they were in first at one point in that division, and they've slowly started to come down. And what I'm saying is the gap is not
No,
that
I
much now.
understand.
Remember, it's the last 15 games of the season that determines everything. The team that gets hot will go furthest. The teams that are going to be struggling, they they're not going to make it. They're not going to be there. And
Do you
Detroit
guys
Sexy
consider
seems to
Scrub is
be
coming.
crumbling. Detroit seems to be
Detroit?
dropping as well. So
I'm more concerned about Tampa guys. Like they just better hope that Dumba can come in and play some solid minutes for them because their defense is really problematic. Yes, like Vasilevsky's looking a little bit more human, but this proves the theory that yes, like goals against average and save percentage are good measures of a goaltender, but even like the save percentage can be a little bit misleading because the types of shots that you see is based on how well of a defense you have playing in front of you too, right? So
yeah,
Vasilevsky, is definitely doesn't have the strongest decor in front of him right now. I'm not sure Dumba really solidifies that. He's kind of a riverboat gambler kind of guy a little bit, so they're going to need him to come in and play some big minutes with Sergachev not being there. So we'll see.
yeah,
I'm going to
but
shocking
Detroit
you,
hasn't
Ming. Detroit
looked
be
well.
out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Detroit
Last
You
hasn't
night
think
I
looked
went to
well.
the
The
bed.
last
I almost called you at 3 o'clock in the morning. I said Montreal trade Jake Allen to
I was
Detroit
up.
Red Wing, and we got Raymer in return.
you guys think
Because
Detroit's
Detroit right
going to
now,
come
the
out?
goaltending are really in the bad situation right now. They have really not performing. That's
There,
one of the reasons. I know they're missing Larkin. But again,
Larkin's a big.
do you want a weird, crazy prediction? The Flyers going to kick out the Rangers on the first round.
Not a chance.
First of all, I don't know if they'll meet up because I don't think the Carolina will catch the Rangers. So that puts the Carolina with Philadelphia in the first round.
No, my point behind
It'll be
that is the Flyers finished 7 and then
Oh, if they
the
finish seventh, yeah.
Islanders finish third in the division, and now you're going to get Florida, Tampa Bay. That'll be fun to watch, and then you get Flyers versus the Rangers.
That'll be
What was the
interesting.
score? What was the score of the Anaheim Detroit game tonight?
Well,
Arizona
the
4-0.
4-0 Arizona over Detroit.
Oh shit!
So far, it's not over. It's not over yet.
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean, they're
watching
struggling right now, and Dallas is up 3-0 at the end of the first.
Is Middlestat playing for Colorado today?
I
I
don't know.
I have it
don't
in the
think
back.
so. I don't think so.
With that W, Arizona are 1 point behind Montreal right now.
That's good.
Columbus is coming. Columbus is playing better too.
They play very
Coach,
better
are we-
now.
Are we doing predictions for Toronto and Montreal tomorrow?
We're going to get there, but I want to give you the right answer if you don't mind, Mr. Jerome play tonight, Trennan play tonight, Middlestat play tonight, and
Oh, he played.
Walker play tonight.
Yeah, that's the game I have on in the background here. I haven't. Yeah, like
So,
they have. I think Colorado's going to be okay.
I think so too.
Yeah, they'll be
I
fine.
think-
They'll be
I
fine.
think there will be.
They
on
won't.
that
They
one.
won't be Winnipeg, but they'll be fine.
With Basilic told Alan about this. So the comments in the chat. If I lost the comments, I was just checking left and right about that. So there you go. It was a great review of the trade deadline. I don't know if you want to stay with me, but I'm going to go through the NHL prediction, the winner last week, this week, and that's coming, and then we do a quiz. So I don't know.
I spent all day watching hockey stuff, so my wife was cool with me jumping in for a little bit. But
Yeah, the most your wife is a part. She's missing you, but the dog is really the one. Is really right now. One needs some help.
yeah, I'll make sure that my marriage and my pet relationships are still intact after definitely watching way too much hockey coverage today, guys. But always fun to jump on, and we'll see you tomorrow night for Leafs Habs. I can't believe it's only the second time this year that Montreal but it's good. We're gonna have lots of Toronto Montreal games in the last part of the season here. So
I
it's
was
gonna be good.
impressed by TSN today. I don't watch a lot of TSN, but the way the coverage today was really good. Overall, so I have a good time watching this. And then O'Neill was funny. What they did with O'Neill today, so was fun. So,
Yeah.
thanks so much,
it was
Marco.
good.
Appreciate a lot. Wish you an amazing, great night. Maybe see you Sunday
night.
or Wednesday next week.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys. Bye.
So now, Tap,
Good night.
you ready to rock and roll?
Okay, let's rock and roll.
We're going to go finish
We're gonna
really
rock and
quick
roll.
everything, so we'll be sure we are right away on that one. Let's move on, prediction. Where you are? Where are you? Are you coming? Hold on, Mr. Tap. I didn't put this on that one. Do I get you here? Yeah, I get you over me, so it's no big deal, Mr. Tap. I'll put you right here. So that'll be helping. Mr. Tap, last week.
By the way, Luciano, you have to type in your own answers today.
Last week, not last week, but this is the prediction tonight, the next week. But Mr. I'm going to hide you for a couple of minutes, if you don't mind, behind that.
Okay.
And I'm going to add the winner last week, Mr. Tap. LDP. Here's the winner of the boss with 11 this week. Beat Artap, Gary, Luke with 10. Great, everybody. And RJ is crystal ball was on the one side. RJ, you have to flip this from the left to the right, not to the right to the left. Now you get all the bad. So switch your crystal ball, RJ. You're going to be on the gel for you, obviously. Coach is leading by 3, and Artap is still there. Everybody get your result on the right side. We're going to get not too much time for that, but just give you an idea what's happening for everybody during the last week. Usually put everybody, RJ in the jail. We're going to give you just the picture. RJ, you're going to be there. You've been there before. We don't have to talk too much about that. You've been there a couple of times. And then for the boss, LDP, but celebrate the boss with your daughter and your wife. And we give you a congratulations on that one for sure. And Mr. Tab, we have 13 games, I believe, this week.
13 again. Saturdays are all 13.
Here we go. 13 game we got on this one. So we wish you the best. Did you get my email, Ron? I think we got it. You, Ron, your email. So that's what we got this week, Mr. Tab. We're going to have about 3 minutes for everybody to set up on that one. And sometimes they give you maybe an opportunity to give us a little bit what you think about, example, Edmonton, Buffalo, Mr. Tab. Who do you take?
I will go
Not your final
with
answer, by the way. Just give you an idea here.
Edmonton.
Columbus, Nashville.
Nashville.
Carolina Devils.
I will go with. That's a tough one. You know what? I'm going to go with the home team, New Jersey.
Pittsburgh, Boston.
I'm gonna. You're asking me that? Boston, all the way.
Florida, Calgary.
Florida.
Toronto, Montreal.
I don't want to answer. I think this is the game that goes to overtime. I'm gonna go with. I'll go with Montreal.
All right, I'll go Toronto. San Jose, Ottawa, easy, right? Ottawa. Flyers, Tampa Bay.
I don't know. Okay, I'll go with Ottawa too.
Flyers, Tampa
And
Bay.
then I'm gonna go with Philadelphia.
Chicago, Washington.
I'll go with Washington.
Blues, Rangers.
I'm going Rangers.
Vancouver, Winnipeg.
Oh my goodness. And it's in Vancouver. Oh my goodness. This is a tough one. You know what? I'm going to go with Winnipeg.
Okay. Then Vegas, Detroit.
I'll go Vegas. They're at home.
Then we have Dallas Kings, Mr. Tap.
Another tough one. I'm going to go with Dallas.
All right. So that gives us an idea what we got, Mr. Tap. So with your help, I select my picks this week. So I appreciate that on that one over there. Patrick, I apologize. I did not do it this week. The week before that, I did it, but not this week. Patrick, I'm going to put a note about that, if you don't mind, Patrick, about that. So we got, for you participate, Nicolas did it. Okay, of course, I did it for everybody. 13 game of the program, guys. Some of you emailed me, and we appreciate a lot. And that's pretty much what we got. Then I would say RJ gave us another chance. RJ said, I put the right crystal ball in front of me. And now RJ is going to get that one over there. And then Nicolas got that one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I was to say. Nicolas, all right, I got yours. Mr. Willie Snyder gave us on that one, followed by Gary, Mr. Natap, all of them. Luke gave it also this one. Appreciate a lot, everybody, to get that one. Don't forget, click on the likes. I think, Mr. Natap, are you ready for the quiz?
Oh, okay, sure.
Why not? You lead the quiz, Mr. Natap, with 6, but last week we have a few people did it. Gary, King, Andy, and Claude Richard are the winner of the contest on that one. You are going to be in the final if you all the way to the end, Mr. Natap. Gary is another one with 4. We have Andy Quivila is also on part of that one with the most W so far since the beginning of this the winter time, Mr. Natap. So we're going to get a March 9 for me. And I'll go that way. So goes again for all the home team. Patrick, we got it, my friend. I put this a save right there. Now you're welcome, by the way, for you. Email me directly. I will give you more information for you. Coach at coachfrenchy.com. It's our tap for you is going to be in Thailand.
What's going to be in Thailand?
For you is visit Thailand next month.
Oh, I thought you were talking to me.
I know, you're not ready yet.
That's good.
Mr. Tap, tonight I did some work last night, and I said, he's getting
Oh
boring, the
no.
orange. I said, why not to chant a couple chant a couple new colors, Mr. Tap? Maybe people will give a little bit more chance to win if they read better the question. So I did it that way, Mr. Tap. Good luck, everybody, and see who's going to win.
Mm, 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 mm.
Here we go, Mr. Tap. Which defenseman currently lead the NHL and the defensive point share this season? Is it Ronek, Doughty, Hughes, Forsling, or DeMelo? Good luck, everybody. How about that? And the formula, Mr. Tap, to get that kind of stat is really complicated. It's a goal for versus goal against, divide by 7 player on the 12 on the ice. It's a formula. It starts with the baseball major league, and they try to do it in hockey. It would take me a video to make that to understand. So I don't want to get there, Mr. Tap. So here we go. You got the selection on this one. We got the first Nicolas, Ron, RJ, and Alexandre Maillard. Welcome back, Alexandre Maillard, by the way. He's in the house. What is another? Bob's is in the house again. Bob's still all the way to the end. Bob, good luck on that one. For you is gave us a C, Born and Ab. Welcome back, by the way, Bob. I did not mention your name earlier. So thanks so much about that. Luc Lavalson gave you
So,
a day about this, Mr.
so
Nartap.
coach, coach, what's the formula? What were you saying for defensive point shares?
I'm sorry again.
What's the formula for it? It's not points. It's you're talking about
Defensive point
defensive
share
point
this
share.
season. So it's a formula with the goal for minus goal again with the player on the ice divide by 7 by 12. They take 7 divide by 12. It's another data come with that part of there. So I cannot give you the
Okay.
exact formula for you.
Okay. No problem. I got the gist of it. I'm gonna go with D. Forsling.
All right. What about Luciano?
Luciano, come on. I have to do everything for you.
On that one, you can give him an
Luciano.
answer for him.
Oh wait. He just texted me. He went with A.
He said which one?
A. Ronick.
A. All right. And I'll tap for D and Luciano for A. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see what we got tonight. The first answer of this one. Oh, I need to increasing that next time, Mr. Tap. The answer, the first one is D, Mr. Tap. You nailed it. On that one, congratulations. Ron with King, Wally Snyder, Luc Laverson, Sébastien, and Inartap scored the first goal of the night. Everybody, that's what we got so far. I can't review everything about this. I don't think so. We got that one. Everybody got this number in our tap. Let's move on. Question number 2 of the night. Here we go. Question number 2. So on tap. In the last 10 years, there are 3 Dallas players score 5 points in one specific game. One of them is Joe Pavelski. Wyatt Johnston did it a couple of days ago. And then who is the third player? Jason Robinson, Mike Modano, Dennis Kuryanov, Jimmy Benn. Not Jordy Benn. He played with Dallas, but it's Jimmy Benn. And then we have Kiviranta. Scored 3 goals and won the playoff semifinal 4 years ago. So who is going to be that players? And Mr. Roy, go with D. D, Roy, for the first question, or D for the second question about that one? RJ, go with B on that one, Mr. RJ. And we have Nicolas with D. Here we go, Sebastian, you did it. Willie with A. Bob's with A. Born would go with D. And then Alexandre with A. Yamo with C. Ron with C. And that's what we got so far. We have to wait a little bit more people in the chat to see what's happening. And then we have Luc Laverson with E. Monsieur Nartap on that one. Patrick Leblanc and Luc Lafortune with E and Patrick with Kuryanov. Monsieur Nartap.
Boy, oh boy. Pavelski, Johnson, and who's the third player? I'm gonna go with Robertson. I think A.
Robinson for A. Luciano texts you. He will said to you.
Didn't he put it in the chat, Luciano?
He did not do his answer yet. So Sebastian say A,
didn't.
Joe Manello say A, for you say A, Gary Connery go B, and Luciano said what, Mr. Natap?
He said B.
B like
Modano.
Mandano.
Yeah.
You should push a bit later because it was C. Dennis Kuryanov did it for the Dallas Star, and Ron we can't take the lead with 2. Rain we get A, no?
All right,
and then Giamo and Patrick LeWhite, or Patrick Leblanc, depending how you want to call it, Pat LeWhite. And that one take a score, and they are trailed by 1 shot behind Mr. Ron. Question number 3.
Just copy Willie.
So now that, which of the following NHL team has registered for fewer hat tricks so far in this season? Edmonton, Toronto, Minnesota, Vancouver, and Matthews, Mr. Tap. I know he's not a team, but could be controversy answer on that one, Mr. Tap. Which one of them have the fewer hat tricks so far in NHL? Edmonton, Toronto, Minnesota, Vancouver, and Matthews. Donnie, back in the house. Not a problem, Donnie. Try again. Just read. Yamo, it was a tricky one. You're absolutely right about this. So Roy have 1 point, by the way, so far. Roy scored the first goal at first answer. On this one, guys, okay, we got Nicolas with C. We have Bob's with C. For you with A. Luc Lafortune with D. Arjun with A. Alexander D. Last le compte, Mr. Tap. Let me check about this. Complicated a little bit to follow everyone at the same time. Willie, Donnie, Alexandre, Roy. Yeah, got it, Mr. Roy. Gary, and then we have Yamo. Born go with C, Ron with C, Yamo with A, Sebastian with A, Pierre Ledrick with C, Joe Manel with A. Mr. Tap, your time to give us an answer about that.
I think it's Minnesota. C.
Minnesota with C. All right. Try to get all the answer we get at the same time, Mr. Tap. Here we go. Are you ready?
Luciano went with Matthews.
The center of that is the Edmonton Oilers.
Edmonton. Wow.
Edmonton Oilers, they don't have enough. With that answer, Mr. Tap, for the people, Ron still lead at 2. Sebastien joined the party with Giamo Vertanen. All of them are 3. Now we have a goal from Joe Manella. We have a goal for BJ. I don't know who BJ is. No, it's Mr. Tap. Joe Manella, Sebastien Yamo, and then have one. Gary Cournoyer knocked the door, Mr. Tap. Gary Cournoyer scored a goal on that one. So congratulations for Gary Cournoyer, Mr. Tap did that one. And that's all, Mr. Tap. Question number 4 of the night. So far, we're looking good, Mr. Tap. We're getting in the time of the frame we're looking for. Oh, Mr. Tap, this one, I love that one. They have 3 goalies in NHL, Mr. Tap. They play back-to-back game with 50 goals, 50 save and more shot they got phased in the same season. Not back-to-back, 3 times on the season. 3 games of 50 shot they got. 2 of them is Hart Rollins and John Gibson. But who is the third goalie in NHL accomplished 3 games of 50 shots they faced at the same season? Not happened a lot, mais ça tape only 3 times. Doug Favell, de Gum Worsley, César Maniego, Eddie Giacomin et Dominique Hachek, mais ça tape. It's all good, Donnie. Don't feel bad. Many feel the same way anyway. Ron go with Asek. RJ go with Giacomin. Yamo, not familiar with those names. Yamo. Nicolas go with Favel. Born go with D. Alexandre go with A. With B. Donnie go with E. Thanks so much, Donnie. We have Yamo at D. Bob's go with D. We'll wait for a couple of more people on that one. Willie go with E. Luc Laperson go with C. Luc is 1 and 3. For you is so good C. Gary go with A. Sébastien go with B. Joe Manella go with B. And we wait, I think, for more people to get that one. And that's all, Mr. Tap. So going to wait for your answer now.
I think I'm going to go with Cesar Maniego.
Maniego. And what about Luciano?
B. Gump Worsley.
Oh, my God! But you should listen, Luciano, Mr. Tap. It was a Gump Worsley about that one. And Luciano scored a goal. But don't believe it or not, Mr. Tap, Mr. Sebastian take the lead at 3 and 4 questions so far. Mr. Nartap, he is on the roll. Mr. Sebastian, followed by Joe Manella now at 2 with R20. So that's what we got. Last question on the night, Mr. Nartap. And that's it. That's all for everybody. While Patrick Arroy had a streak of 3 games with shootout, back to back to back. How many saves did he make during that span, Mr. Tap? 37, 86, 90, 97, 108. It's time now to put your prediction, turn the ball, and pick one of them. And that's pretty much you can get those questions. Not easy one. You just have to be lucky. And that's the complete show that way, Mr. Tap. Be lucky or be out. No wonder he was always drunk. Look about Worsley. We missed a couple likes. Only 2 or 3 of them. Here we go. We got Nicolas go with B. Bob go with D. Ron go with C. Ron tried to tie the game with Joe Manella. RJ go with A. RJ is 1 and 4, I believe. Gary go with C. About that. Bob go with D. And then we have Yamo and Luc. Yamo tried to tie the game also with that one. And then we have Patrick Leblanc, Willie, Alexandre Maillard. Mr. Tap, during the time, you can give us an answer. Sebastien is not there yet. Could be eliminated. Just kidding. About that
I'm going to go with E, 108.
108. What about Mr. Luciano?
Luciano says D, 97.
97 for D about this one over there. Here we go, guys. Sebastien, go with Mr. Tab D. So if he's right, everybody is out. But if he's wrong, maybe some of you could win that contest, Mr. Tab. And we'll see the answer, first of all, of this one. It's C, Mr. Tap, is 90, and nobody had the right answer, other than the fact Woody Snyder got that one over there, and Gary Conway got that one over there, but not good enough to get a W because they finished with 2 on the 5 for them tonight, and Yamo with 2, Ron with Kings with 2. Ron started really well, 2 and 2, but finished very badly with 3-0-3. But this is conclude the show, Mr. Natap, or that one, and the winner of this tonight, Sebastien got his first W of
Way
the
to go,
year, Mr.
Sebastian.
Natap. Here we go. We'll go to the movie.
Way to go, Sebastian.
About that. Congratulations, Mr. Sebastian, tonight. Bob, no problem with that. It's happened many times on that one. So, good show, everybody. It was a great review, Mr. Natap. We thanks you to come with me tonight to join the Hockey Nation Live show and to participate
Pleasure,
on that specific great show tonight. I tried to get Mr. Natap, if you don't mind. I need to do one more thing before, because sometime I need to save all the we have 9 people participate of the contest of the prediction of the night. So that's if I forget that one, Mr. Natap, it's a bad news for everybody. So I don't want to do that. Coach, I said C. Mr. Natap, Ron said C. We have to call Mr. Natap. You cannot leave. We have to call the Deloitte, Smith and Deloitte, Mr. Natap. We have to review. We have a review call, Mr. Natap, from Toronto. No. So we have to wait, Mr. Natap. Let's see what's happening. Ron 20, make a comments right there. Ron 20 said at the last question, he's right, Mr. Natap. And we disavow the W at the Sebastian, only him. But you have to add Ron with Kings, Mr. Natap. And he joined the party with that part. Ron with Kings is the winner with Sebastian. That's what Deloitte does, guys. With us, they are there to watching everything. They can reviewing. We can come back and we can see the justice did it again, Mr. Natap.
That's it. Justice has been served.
That's what we do, Mr. Natap, at the show every single night. We bring the fun on the Friday night. Mr. Natap.
Sounds great.
What do you think the last word of the NHL Trade Deadline? Do you think it's a lot of trade today? Who is completely the biggest winner of the NHL team?
I'm going to go with probably Vegas. A close number 2, Winnipeg.
I would start with Colorado, Mr. Natap. I think Colorado, Mr. Natap, are in mission again this year. Maybe, my dream is to see Edmonton, Colorado in the final conference, Western Conference.
That would be a great series, actually.
I think the playoff is going to be really good this year also.
Yeah. And disappointing for some teams.
Yeah. But I hope the Devils don't make it. I'm sorry, Joseph, but I don't know. I think the Devils does not deserve to be there right now about this one there. And
watch out. Watch out for those Islanders.
Detroit, they are on the downside. Can they make it at the last second? It would be interesting to see that about that. Yeah. Any news for Rand Owenson? He's which plane he is right now? Do you know?
He's lost somewhere in space. I know that for sure. Nobody wants him.
That's crazy to think about this, huh? Rand Owenson. Sometimes the career finished really quickly, really bad. Yeah. Anyway, Mr. Natap, it was great to have you aboard. We appreciate a lot. But before we leave, we want to tell you one more thing because you're the legend. You are awesome. You are amazing. You are the best. And remember, you have greatness inside of you. Like he does every night, every time he pop up here, take some of his time to be with us tonight. I wish you an amazing, great night, a great weekend. Coach. And I look forward to see you Sunday night for the weekly recap. Until then, my friend, be well, be healthy. Find a way not only donate your lip, but find a way to donate the first half of 1% of that.
You're 20, 24.
He did it again. Had an amazing, great night, everybody. I will see you Sunday night at the weekly recap. Thanks so much. Enough that.
Good night. Good night, Coach. Good night, Hockey Nation.
Good night. Booyah!